welcome to GoodFlickas, home of the GoodFlickas. Can you take our critiques? Let's find out. You have caught us in a bit of a transition period for us as a group, and it's very exciting, which we will have plenty of announcements for you at the end of the show, so stick it out. But in the meantime, I am Matt, and joined tonight by the boss, Ryan.
Oh my Gotti, we're back again.
Nice. Okay, strong start. I don't know how I'm gonna follow this up. I decided to go with this whole like mafia thing, like literally just 2 seconds ago. I have no idea what to say for Jen other than I want to say the godmother, but that just doesn't sound as cool. I got nothing, Jen. I'm not a big mafia movie guy. Brian, can you back me up here? Can you help me out? I'm sinking, bro.
I mean, do you want to go Karen?
Dude, I don't care what you do. I need something to mafia up Jen's name or intro because I'm butchering so bad right now, dude.
The Karen of the GoodFlickas, let's just hope she doesn't flush the stash down the toilet.
Karen no.
Karen. Oh God. Karen.
I just every time I think of Karen, I just think of Ray Liotta just screaming her name.
Fair enough. Okay. No, I'm
Karen. Why, Karen? Why? They were everywhere. They were everywhere.
Oh my God. You know what? I know we've already done Goodfellas, but maybe we need to relive it.
No,
I know we've talked about rewatches, but
don't tempt me with a good time. Holy
I'm just saying,
crap.
maybe we get to a point like that. But
I haven't stroking my G spot there, buddy.
Oh my goodness. After dropping to the bottom of this river with these concrete shoes, Jen, thank you for sticking that out. What are you munching on? At least can we ask that? It's no big bowl tonight.
I have a quesadilla with some pepper jack cheese in it, rice, chorizo, and sour cream.
All right.
And corn.
And corn. Okay, yeah. Nice quesadilla going on there. All right. And to finish it up, you are my number one guy, Nick.
I'm the one with the big bowl tonight.
You are the one with the big bowl this time. So filling that void is Nick with a big bowl.
I feel like I'm gonna need to step up my big bowl game because Nick's trying to impede on that.
Like each week, like you have a bigger bowl than I do, and then the next week I get a bigger bowl. Our bowls, like 2 months in, they just take up like half the screen.
Jen's gonna have us like, she's gonna be potting in her bathroom, and she's now converted her tub into her bowl.
Right.
I like finding a abandoned
bathtub of top ramen. Beat that, Nick.
Oh dear God.
What I find like an abandoned swimming pool, and I fill that up with food.
Oh Jesus, you would. You just go from bathtub to like abandoned swimming pool, not even like inflatable like kiddie pool. Just no, abandoned pool. Brian, this is your pick, yes?
No.
Oh God, Jen's pick. Sorry, I forgot the order. God, you're just my mafia guy. My bad. I lean on you too hard.
That's fine.
Jen, this was your pick. So tell us about why you picked this one. Motivations. What have you? Why Gotti?
Mm-hmm. I haven't the slightest clue, to be honest. I was torn between 3 very different movies. This one just seemed to win. But I was just on Hulu and scrolling through movies. Gotti came out. Nothing deep.
All right. Well, I mean, what were the other movies that it was fighting with? If Gotti had to win out, what was it taking down?
A Walk to Remember.
That's right. Oh God, yeah. Thank you for not picking that one.
Enough.
What was the other one?
Enough.
That was the other one that nobody really knew about. Maybe you revisit it. But I'll say this: I'm glad that this was a newer movie to me. Yeah. Cool. So anybody want to take it off with initial thoughts and scores? Brian, you've got your mic up, and that always feels good.
All right, Gotti. So I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna try to keep my initial thoughts very, very brief because we do. I mean, we talk about everything. So, so why hash it out again? All right, but I've never seen this movie. I've actually never heard of it either until Jen brought it to my attention. This was a rough one. I'm going to tear it apart tonight, and I look forward to it. But in general, here's my brief summary of it. Like I said, it's a rough movie. I felt like this is someone that just binge watched Goodfellas like 50 times. Also watched a bunch of Scorsese films. Tried to play with the Scorsese playbook and gave us a Sesame Street execution. So with that, I'm giving this a 2.8, and I look really forward to talking about this one.
Wow.
Ooh, sorry, you say 2.8?
Yeah.
Wow, rough. Okay. Anybody want to volunteer to go next? It's okay. Nick, I'll finish it up then.
So yeah, I also have never seen this film, never heard of it before, and I think you guys have made it aware last week that this was based on a true story, and so I sort of had high hopes for it. I kind of like biopic documentary kind of films, and I was really looking forward to it. I'm kind of with you, Brian. I do not like this film. It's almost like it should have been a TV show, or it should have been a series. Like telling the story of Gotti would have been much better told in TV series form. I just feel like they jump around timelines way too quickly, and they don't give these timelines like enough time to breathe before they cut back and forth. And I feel like anytime they do cut back, that could be a whole episode to give us more information. And I'm not saying that it's a bad story. Like, it is interesting, the whole family dynamic of the Gotti family and his pals and everything, but it just does not work in like a movie format for me. Are you laughing because I said the word pals?
Gotti and his pals.
Hey, you said Sesame Street, so I know.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, so it was rough, but I got through it, and yeah, I knew I had to finish till the end, so I gave this a 2.4.
4. My God. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and into this one. I don't disagree with anything you guys are saying. I've never seen this movie. This was my first time watching it. But I was definitely aware of it. I didn't realize it came out somewhat recently. I guess 6 years, 7 years now. 5. Really? Okay. I'm bad with math. 5 years. So I mean, there's really not that long. But I agree with what you're saying, Nick. The story is very jumbled. It doesn't make sense. There's no okay. It's called Gotti. We're introduced to John Gotti, but who are we really supposed to be rooting for here? Who do we don't get to know anybody that well. It's as far as a biopic, it falls way flat. It makes me interested in these people. I think it's going to be easier for me to just call them characters. But it's made me interested in these characters because they do interesting things, but there's no real context to anything, and that's the whole movie. It's a problem. But John Travolta is absolutely incredible. He does a phenomenal job, and I agree. If it was done differently, done better, keep John Travolta. He did an amazing job. It just the story itself is such a jumbled mess that it really does bother me. But I didn't rate this as harshly as you guys. But I did have a realization. I think I've been way too generous with my critiques of late, if not this entire year. So I think I'm gonna need to start kind of cracking down a little bit and not be afraid to drop my scores a little bit lower. But this movie, I ultimately gave it a 3.7. It's the story is the biggest problem, but it has a lot of really good stuff within it. And I would almost argue with better editing, this story as is could be better. But
Like edit it, then it'd be solid.
I let Nick edit. Absolutely. Get on it. Yeah, 3.7. I'm with you guys. And like I said, I do feel like I've been way too generous with my scores. I think I need to be a little, I think I need a little, I need to keep people to a higher standard. There's my eyes. It's a stutter. Leave it alone, dick. Anyway, Jen, I think you are left to round us out. And then we can hand it over to Nick for his fun fact song.
We're all family here.
No, we're not. He's getting whacked. I don't care if he's a made man.
Okay, so we're all on the same page for not ever seeing this nor hearing about it. Like I said, I was just scrolling and it popped up. And I am on my own little island on this one. I am on my own little island. I can agree with you guys with it being extremely fast paced, and that was one of my nitpicks. Actually, it was like this. I thought, because I'm pretty slow, so I was like, hold on. I had captions on. I was like reading more than watching. And
Jen's got a whiteboard next to her. Okay, 1984.
yeah, pretty much. Like it was very fast paced, and it was difficult to follow. But the story, like the dynamic of the father and son, you cannot miss that, and that's just, it really just spoke volumes to me. And I'm hoping that we can talk about that if you guys even like caught that. I don't know. But all in all, I feel like I have more to say, but I don't know what to say. So okay, my score, I gave this a 4.6 out of 5. Because like, yeah, there are a few nitpicks, quite a bit head scratchers, and I think that's due to the quickness of it. But I thought it was a really good movie. Really, really good movie.
Jen, I probably why I didn't grade it so harshly. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff in this, but the stuff that's bad it's hard to look past. But anyway, I like to learn about this movie because it's fun to be educated and have facts behind why I like or dislike something. And what better way to start off an educational process than by listening to music, and what better than an original song performed by our one and only, the bearded bastard. I mean, the bearded badass. Nick, what you got for us this week, man?
All right. I got a fun fact rap for y'all.
Ooh, oh, he's rapping. He's rapping again.
Mm-hmm.
These are the best ones. I'm excited.
All right. We got a film about the mafia. John Gotti is played by the Travolta. All this fun factin' will be blasting like a gunshot coming at ya. Hey, Brian Walsh has a lottie. Fun facts from a film called Gotti. You better get it back for a body because he will kill you with the knowledge. Fun facts.
Fire
all over my screen.
Fire.
All right. So Gotti comes out in 2018, directed by Kevin Connolly. Anyone know him?
The name sounded good. Does he do like TV series?
Yeah. Entourage.
Oh, okay. I got one.
You did.
It was funny. That's the big one that most people I think know him from.
Mm-hmm.
As I was going through his credits, I saw that he was in Up, Up and Away. the Disney Channel original movie, and I was like, who the hell is he in Up, Up and Away? And then I remembered like there's the evil people that are like he's like one of the bad guys.
Oh shit! Yeah, I know.
I don't even remember that movie.
It's comical and amazing and fun about superheroes, but he's one of
Yeah,
the bad guys. That's all you really need to know. And it's silly and ridiculous. It's a Disney Channel movie. But he's in it for sure.
yeah. I mean, because even looking at his director um, credits here, you've got none of them I've heard of. Dr. Eleanor, Big Shot, Whatever We Do, and Gardener of Eden. So I'm like, right on. So
Not too familiar.
yeah. So going into the ratings, GoodFlickas, we're gonna give this one a 3.38 out of 5 stars.
4.6. Boosted it.
Yeah, your 4.6 definitely helped it a little bit. As far as the others, Letterbox gives it a 1.7 out of 5. IMDb gives it a 4.8 out of 10. And the Roger Ebert website, 1 out of 4 stars.
Yeah, that's not too surprising from you, Raj.
Wow.
Well, it's not even Roger.
I know it's his website that's accepted. It's still Roger. They're putting his name on there.
I'm gonna pull up the review and let you know read some passages here. And I agree with this. First of all, I think the John Gotti story is so fascinating, and I just wish that it was told in a better light. And the author of this review says, there may one day be a great movie made about John Gotti, but this one ain't it. Yeah, there are other things that he says too, but I mean, I definitely shared some feelings that the author on here wrote, and the author is named Brian Tellerco. So he, like I said,
you Brian's just stick together, don't you?
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, 1 out of 4 stars on this one. So the budget was 10 million, and worldwide gross is 6.4 million.
Ooh.
So it took a hit there. And then the awards, obviously, you're not going to get any Oscars or Golden Globes, but you are going to get the Razzies. The Razzies are back. The Razzies, this thing was given 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 nominees. No wins, but 6 nominees. It was nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, Worst Supporting Actress, Worst Screen Combo, which is Kelly Preston and John Travolta, Worst Director, and Worst Screenplay. All nominated. Travolta used many of his own cars in the movie. Isn't that interesting?
Weirdly, like I don't really remember many cars in this movie. Like,
I don't either.
Like there's a couple. Like there's a couple.
I'm like, what is it? Parked on the side of New York?
Yeah, like I don't know. Maybe for like the scene where Paul gets taken out, but I don't know.
Even the one that blows up, was that his car?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. All right. There was a possible Angelo Ruggiero. This is a hell of a story that I'm about to tell you. His name is Joe Pesci.
I was gonna say, is it Pesci?
Pesci was offered the role and accepted the role. Pesci gained 30 pounds for the role because Ruggiero was just known for his overweight size.
Wow.
They then said, we actually went in a different direction and we don't want you in the movie after Joe Pesci has put on the 30 pounds for the role. Pesci goes and sues for $3 million. and it's basically settled behind closed doors. It obviously didn't go to court. We would have heard about this, especially being 2018. Everyone would have known the Joe Pesci lawsuit going down, and who knows what riots that would have created. But so it was settled behind closed doors. But I mean, I can't. How are you gonna do that to Pesci?
Yeah, that's insane.
That is just fucked up. Like, he put on weight for you and everything, and you're like, nah, we good. Let me tell you, hot shots, you could have used his experience on the set. That's one thing I can say for sure. That is like the closest to mafia that you're gonna get in the Hollywood lifestyle of mafia.
I send the crowd back to Goodfellas, right? What the
100%.
But that's all right, Nick. Can you
And The Irishman, in case you forgot.
I never saw
you
it.
find
And
the
Casino, in case you forgot. I mean, I'm like, what are you doing? Who's too big to accept the fact that that they're like, no, we're not going to do Joe Pesci. We don't. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is. It's like hearing like you had a chance of Al Pacino or Robert De Niro, and you're like, nah,
And it's funny
we
because
got this. Generation don't give a fuck is underway.
it's funny because like I thought as I was watching it, I was like, Joe Pesci would be great at this. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Let down.
So that's my 2 cents on that one. I
hope he got his
Pesci, good for you for suing. I hope you stuck it to them.
That was one of those things where I read that fact, and I was proud of him. I was proud of him, right? Like, you gained 30 pounds, you signed on for this role. Like, you like, he prepared.
He was ready.
Yeah. And I mean, like, that's a lot to do to your body. That's a lot to put your body through. Like, hell yeah, dude.
Especially for his size.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I would absolutely be just as pissed off as him. And no, fuck them.
No, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, that is just, I'm too much of I just love mafia movies and just all that stuff. But I'm also a huge Joe Pesci fan, and just, you can't do that to him after what? No. And to see how poor of a product you delivered serves you fucking right. This is just the tip of the iceberg, people. I am prepared tonight. What else do we have? Gotti family personally asked for Travolta to play John Gotti. So that's a pretty respectful wish that I good for them, knowing who they wanted.
I wonder if they were fans of Saturday Night Fever.
Who knows? It's gotta be Grease, right?
No, Saturday Night Fever, man.
Well, also, didn't he do Travolta? What was it? Get Shorty? Is that it?
He did that, yeah. For sure, that's him.
And wasn't he playing an Italian?
I can't remember. Was it Danny DeVito in that one?
Yeah, Danny DeVito and John Travolta. And he was doing some Italian thing, so it's not like he hasn't done it before. The per Travolta, the eeriest moment during filming was when he's wearing Gotti's tweed overcoat, and that's what he wears for the beginning and end. And the reason why is he could still smell Gotti's cologne.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that would be eerie.
Uh-huh. At the social club, the Mexican flag was accidentally used, so they had to CGI the Italian flag in.
Oh my gosh!
How do you fuck this up? How do you fuck that up?
You have a $10 million budget. Come on, you can't get
Wow.
We just saw red, white, and green. We thought we had it.
You're in New York. You can't get an Italian flag.
It's the stupidest thing in the Amazon. Like,
What the
The fact that you had to resort to CGI fixing a flag before getting the right flag, that's just sad.
It's just pathetic.
That's just sad.
I'm like, are you what?
Okay,
Wow.
boo! That loses it. Oh, I'm not at my 4.6 now. That is
Like-
horrible.
If
So
it
this
was
is-
like if it was something where like they were at a location and it had that flag and for whatever
Right.
reason,
If they're like
couldn't change it.
international,
Yeah, where like if it was something along those lines, sure. Got to do what you got to do. But the fact that it's like you used the wrong flag, like you put this setup, you used the wrong.
how do you do that?
They're
Hope that
very
person
different.
was fired.
I
Set that up. Fire that person.
yes.
You can blame the art department for that one.
They will not get the win. The movie tonight.
This one also it makes me kind of raise my eyebrow a little bit. Is Gotti's children were on set as consultants.
Oh,
like-
Consulting what?
probably so they don't say
The realism,
Gotcha.
how accurate things were, you know, all that stuff, and I'm like, you don't say. Because I just remember that fact for when we start really diving into this one. Go ahead, Matt.
It's facts like that always make me wonder how involved were they in the storytelling.
Right.
I would be curious if there were huge chunks of script that were taken out because they're like, nope, you can't say that. Nope, you can't talk about that. Nope, you can't. Like,
Oh yeah,
I could imagine that being a
the
thing.
filters.
Probably like because you know they say like they're there to be there for accuracy, which basically means like in fair enough, we knew this man. We wanted to be accurate to him. We knew him best. What we tell you is right. But that also means like these are also the people that either know the truth or are more educated on what actually happened. You know, like they know more than you. Let's just say that. So they tell filmmakers, no.
This is a family that worked under the Gambino family. I mean, of the top 5 of the 5 families. So yeah, there's some secrets that to the grave with the
Yes.
fishes.
Yeah. So it makes me curious as to how much of that like censorship may have factored into why this story is jumbled or why it had to be told the way that it was.
Of course.
So I'm just curious because it's got some good stuff, but
It does.
I blame editing. Go on.
This one I just wrote down because I'm like, okay. It was sponsored by the American Dental Association.
Dental, you said?
American Dental Association.
Dental.
Because if you're going to be a rat, make sure you have, you know, clean white teeth.
well, there was something up with that dentist. I'm just saying. I think I'm not surprised.
All right, we had a couple of possible what if actors coming up. Possible Gotti could have been Sylvester Stallone. Yeah, right. I mean, he has the Italian accent. You know, the vocals would be fine. It might be a little difficult to understand him at times.
I mean,
I don't think he would have done as good as Travolta.
No, but when I think about like his big speech in is it Balboa? You got a good head.
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that one. Like he delivers those big punches so much better now.
Yeah,
I mean
He does.
he's getting up there, but he delivers those punches. I think the benefit for Travolta though in this was like because there's an age difference, like he was able to look younger. I don't think Stallone could look as young.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I would also be a little concerned with Stallone's size and what they would do with that. Where I feel Travolta had, you know, just body wise, it was pretty it mirrored John Gotti pretty well, where Travolta would just be this, he's a big guy. He's still in great shape. All right. We also had possible Gotti Juniors. You had Shia LaBeouf was in the mix. Channing Tatum was in the mix. James Franco was in the mix. Do we like any of those?
I mean, I love Franco, but not for this.
I was thinking more Danny than James.
I really like the guy
Dave?
that.
I'm sorry, Danny. Dave. Thank you. I was like, that's not sounding right. Yeah, I was thinking Dave. I did kind of really question Shia.
I don't.
No?
I mean, whatever issues you may have with Shia LaBeouf, dude can act his ass off.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like I was very curious.
Yeah, like I see no issues with him.
I think he's an incredible actor.
Yeah. My problem with just the casting in general of Gotti Jr., because of those time jumps, they never really changed the way he looks. Like he never really looks different.
They really did not.
He looks 30 from what I'm guessing is 16 to 30. Like he looks the exact same. They use the same. I'm like,
they put on glasses.
Yeah.
Like, yes, they didn't do enough to change his appearance. Like, and I was so confused with his age the entire time. I'm like, I don't, and that fed into why the whole time jumps were so confusing. It's like, if John Gotti is not in this scene, I don't know what time frame we're in. So so that's just my problem. I wish that they had cast more or done better at doing younger. And I feel like, so you mentioned Channing Tatum, Shia LaBeouf, and James Franco. Mm-hmm. I mean, of those guys, Channing Tatum, I can see. Like they could, but I think you're going to get more of the same of like they don't age him well or appropriately. Shia LaBeouf, I think.
Would Tatum have a New York accent? Could he do that?
Could do it. I don't know. I think back to when he does like Coach Carter and Step Up, when he just kind of puts a little more bass and a little more thug to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, if I'm voting for anybody, it's Shia.
Yeah. That would have been my, and then again, I've been curious if Dave Franco could do it too.
Dave is such a unique guy. I like him a lot, but he always plays such interesting roles, and rarely do you get to see him in like truly serious ones.
That's true.
But he's so good. He is good. Go ahead, Jen.
I kind of like, I'm not familiar with the actor that did play young Gotti. But I kind of like that they didn't go with the other trick, because I feel like they're too big of names, and that would take away from like young Gotti's story himself. And so being it more of like, and I say this respectfully, like a no man person, it helped get me involved in that character more.
I feel like he did, young junior Gotti Jr. I think did a good job. So, and you are, you could be right. Maybe it is just a little too much ingredients in the pot there.
Yeah, like, I think it's one thing to have Travolta as like John Gotti, like that works.
Yeah.
But to have another big name for Gotti Jr., I think that'd be that takeaway.
Oh, so you know what? Another potential Gotti Jr. that isn't, I don't think, a big name, because I'm trying to remember his name, but it's Robbie from Cobra Kai. Was it Tatum Buchanan? Is that it? I think it's Tatum Buchanan.
Tanner, isn't it?
Tanner Buchanan?
I think so.
Starts with a T. I just know his last name is Buchanan. That might have been if Gotti Jr. wasn't able to be played by the actor that played him. I thought that might be a decent one then too.
It was Tanner Buchanan.
Tanner
Buchanan.
Yeah.
See,
or he could have played like the young Gotti Jr. Like
and then that's good. That's good.
I like that better.
Yeah, that way you get
him
both
doing
of them
military
in.
camp.
They look kind of the same. They have the same, like kind of the same physical features. And then you actually see a young Gotti Jr. and then a more like mid-20s, 30s Gotti Jr. That's a great idea.
Because I really do like that idea of having Tanner as like the younger version, because it's so weird, that age gap where I can't remember the son that and I'm not trying to get into scenes, but the son who dies,
Frankie.
Frankie. So like Frankie is what I assume was like 8-10 years old. I can't remember what they said. But
Yeah, I think 10. No, 12.
maybe
10?
12. I'd say
10
12.
or 12.
I'd say 12. Let's go with 12. So we know Frankie, not Frankie, John is in military school. So he's in high school going to college. So he's got to be 15, 16. And not to say that he couldn't pull that off, but one, the dude, he looks too big. And comparing those two that are only supposed to be maybe 3-4 years apart, like there's too much of a gap there. That's literally seeing a 30-year-old man with an 8-year-old, right? Like that not linking up. So that's the biggest problem. But you throw Tanner in that moment, like, I mean, look at him in Cobra Kai when he gets sent to the juvie, right? Like,
yeah,
that's Gotti Jr. all over it.
yep.
So yeah, I absolutely like that. And I can still see, because we have the other potential John Juniors. I can still see that even with Shia LaBeouf or oh god, Franco even. But I mean, I kind of lean out of Franco, but I can still see that, like, those working. So I like it. I like that a lot as far as the casting and stuff. But on casting, did anybody have anybody that just like they were really underwhelmed by their performance?
Yes.
Lay it on me.
I don't even know her name, but who the actress that played Mrs. Gotti?
I think it's Kelly Preston.
Yeah, she's got to go. That was, I don't know what movie she thought she was in, and the accent that she was trying to pull off, like, just everything about her was driving me insane. I'm like, this needs a harsh recast, because she just did not play a good role in this one at all. Like, what was it? She's like, it's in the paper. It's in the paper. I'm like, oh my God, lady. Like, and then when she's freaking out in the courtroom, like, you're railroading my son. I was like, what accent? I'm doing a terrible accent. And I admit it. I don't know. She was so committed to that accent, and I have no idea what it was. And she was trying to be emotional, and she didn't even do emotion right. And just this role was not meant for her. Give me some time. I might be able to think of an actress that I feel that might have been suited better for the role, but this one I did not like the performance at all. It was really bad.
Not her.
Ooh,
I'm. Oh, go ahead, Jen. Oh God, hands are up.
it was Jen, then Nick.
I think
That
it was Jen
quick.
first.
I agree kind of with you. So I do think some of her acting was really poor, but when it was her moment in that one scene, we're not going to get into it now, but you guys know she nailed it. And I think as John Gotti's wife, you are not going to be the star of the show. You are going to remain in the background, and you're not going to be well heard and well received. So the fact that they portrayed that in the movie as well, I thought it's well done. I don't really have any issues with her. I think she did great dimming her light in this movie, except for when it was her time to shine. She killed it.
Yeah, I'll say just to that. I think that She had some really good reactions, and she had some good outbursts. Now, I don't really know much about mafia family life, so I can't tell like if her performance is realistic to what a wife of a boss man would be like. But just seeing how she reacted and whatnot, I thought it was sort of, it felt natural. Like if I was to imagine that that's what she would do, like she did it, if that makes sense. Um, so I'm not sure what you're kind of going on about, like her accents or what or why she would need to be recast, but I'm just not convinced why she would need to be replaced.
You could tell that she was you could tell that she was acting. It was very clear that she was not in a comfortable zone. It's what is it? Last week, acting is acting like you're not acting. Guess what?
Nice.
She was acting like she was acting. It was clear as day. She had no idea. It was just apparent that she was not comfortable in the role that she was in. Whether it was the accent that she was, the New York accent that she was trying to polish together, or just not really knowing, how her actions are supposed to be in as the place of the spouse of John Gotti. It was too obvious.
Do you think that she was playing more of the stereotype?
She was trying to, because a lot of New York wives were kind of known to be loud and especially if you're from the Italian descent, you're loud, you're outgoing. If you've got a temper, oh boy, do you have a temper. But she just didn't nail it, in my opinion.
I didn't think she did a particularly bad job, but I mean, I thought she was fine. Accent, I didn't really clock her accent or anything, but with the opening monologues and stuff, I was paying attention to Travolta, and I thought he was great throughout, but there's certainly times where his accent falters a little bit and he sounds a little bit too much like Travolta and a little less like Gotti. And within that opening, it started off so strong and then it faded right towards the end and got into Travolta's like, no.
Yeah.
But then it was like, okay, it's over. We're getting into the movie. And he did a great job with his accent. But I mean, maybe accents are just kind of a problem with this whole thing. It was like, I don't remember really anybody having a phenomenal kind of like that classic Italian mafia accent. But especially since it's presumed that these guys born, raised in New York City and don't leave unless they're in prison and they go somewhere else. Like that's about it.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that their accents would be pretty solid and strong. And I don't think anybody was particularly like heavy on anything. Good, fine. I don't know.
Sammy the Bull. He had a
he did good.
He had a good one, and then also the
that's his real accent.
The warden from Prison Break, I thought did great as well.
Who's the warden from Prison Break?
Oh man, I gotta look him up.
I think he was the one that was also dying of cancer in this one.
Yeah, his name is Stacy Keach.
Oh,
and he plays Neil. Yes.
Yeah. No, he's great. That guy was phenomenal. He did,
yeah.
He did great.
All right, so here's a blanket topic. You guys, I think we're kind of tapping around it a little bit, but I feel like we can go into a deeper dive. The format of this movie is one of the bigger problems that I had. It almost, to me, like I said in the beginning, it truly felt that there was just a binge watch of Goodfellas, because I can tell you how many Goodfellas references I pulled from this movie. The helicopter, the words. I mean, and then on top of that, there was also Scorsese references when he's talking about the fists and everything. I'm like, well, that's from Gangs of New York. It's just like, did you just binge watch Martin Scorsese? And then did you also go into like the Gotti story? And the way that I felt like this was done is this is an event that happened in Gotti's life, and this is an event that happened in Gotti's life, and this is an event that happened in Gotti's life, and we're just gonna film a portion of it, and then we're gonna hopefully piece it together, and at the end, maybe it's a put together puzzle, but I don't know, because that's seriously what it felt like. It was just like it was very just slapped together, and it's frustrating because I swear someone out there, I mean, even Martin Scorsese, man, if you've got it in you, I would love to see you put together a John Gotti movie and really give us the story, because I just think it would be just so fascinating to actually watch and learn. I know that there's been documentaries and whatnot, but just the telling of a story is, it's why I love movies so much, is when you can take real life events and visually tell us the story. Where this one, I feel like I was visually told sections of Gotti's life in a very rushed time frame that was essentially trying to do the Scorsese playbook, and it all just crumbled to pieces. And the only thing that actually held it together, barely held it together, was the performance of John Travolta playing John Gotti. Because if he's not doing a good Gotti, that's it. This thing it's like one of those I'm shutting this off type moments. Go ahead, Nick.
Would you, I know you're a movie guy, but would you prefer the story of Gotti told as a TV show, or would you want, a 3-act film?
If you're gonna start Gotti as young and go all the way until his final years in life, then yeah, give me a TV show, because you can go into great detail. I can get to know outside characters. This movie doesn't even do justice onto what Sammy, because I know some facts about what happened really in with John Gotti, and Sammy the Bull had a lot more to do with the downfall of Gotti and him getting fully, basically sent to life and everything. And the movie doesn't even touch it. And I'm like, this is one of the most important things in John Gotti's life, and we just steamrolled right over it. And it's just it was rough. So if you are going to do that, then I mean, sure, a movie would be great, but if you're really going to do a deep dive and like get nitty gritty with it, then yeah, give me like a HBO Max or a Stars, or something that's not going to hold back, something that's going to give like Games of Thrones style, where they're going to give the profanity, they're going to give the actual true visualization of the life of the mob. Give that to me, because that's candy. That is candy to me.
Yeah. Before I hand it over to Matt, I'll just say lastly, I think the focus of this movie was on Travolta's performance, because we can all agree that his performance of the character is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what holds this film. And maybe that's just what they had in the budget was to hire the perfect actor to play the character, and they focused a lot on the director and the performance side of things, and then other aspects of the film kind of fall short. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, you guys are talking about doing it as a show. My mind immediately went to the OJ show on FX, like something
People
along
versus
that.
OJ or something.
Like what was it? The OJ versus the People.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a FX.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like I think 6 or 8 episodes or something.
Mm-hmm. And Travolta's in it. as
Oh God, he's one of the
Superior, right?
he's one of the lawyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and there's tons of things in it, but like something along that for Gotti absolutely would be phenomenal because the biggest problem with this is the story, and it's because there's no story. It's just information. Here's I can't remember which one of you said it, but like here's a moment of his life. Here's a moment of his life. Let's see if we can piece it together, and it doesn't work.
No.
It's clearly not thought out in a cohesive story arc, and so many choices that they make serve no purpose. And it's a problem because it's done for artistic reasons. It's like, oh, well, here's a fun thing that we can do. That's like, okay, here's a fun thing. Like you said, it's playing out of the mafia movie playbook, and it's not unique. It's not thought out. It doesn't fit. It doesn't. The reason mafia movies work, the reason mob movies work, is because each one feels unique. You feel a character, and you connect with this person. Objectively speaking, these are bad men. These are bad men, and I'll even say women. And you feel for them. You empathize with them. You care for them. You want them to succeed, even knowing that they are the bad guy. That's why they succeed, because we connect with the characters. We connect with the protagonists. This movie has no clear protagonist. It has no clear story arc. Who do we care about and why? Initially, we think it's John Gotti himself. But then halfway through the movie, it's like we jump to John Jr. and now it's like I'm taking a plea. Well, why do we care about that? What? Yeah. So it's every trope that could have been done, but with no purpose. And that's a problem when you're talking about a story that's John Gotti. I was barely alive for the tail end of this man's career and his life, and know nothing really about him, but I know John Gotti. I've heard the name. I've known the name. May not know the man, but I've known that name. And that can't be said about any other mafia guy that's real that I know of. I mean, I want to say what we in Goodfellas, it is technically based off of a real person, real stories and stuff. I want to say
so is the Irishman, Jimmy Hoffa, the person of Teamsters. I know a couple mafia names,
but I mean, like we none of them are as household as John Gotti. You know what I mean?
No.
The name that comes to my head is Don Corleone, and I'm pretty sure the Godfather is not a real person. You know what I mean? Like that's the level of what Gotti is. And this movie does not deliver. And I didn't even talk about it. Like it's in the movie. My name's going to be remembered for years. It's going to be, they're going to be talking about what I've done for 5,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like you hype this up, and I shouldn't even say hype, but like you acknowledge what this man's legacy actually is, but you fall so short of even being a part of that legacy. Like this is now a blip rather than, oh, remember John Gotti? Well, there's another freaking awesome thing that's John Gotti.
And then for names, you can also make a case for one that was in Gotti is Paul Castiglione, and also Carlo Gambino. No, okay,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like those are not names I know. I know them because of this movie, but that's why. When I hear Gambino, I still go back to the great Bambino. Like that's my point. Like it's you know what I mean? Like I those are not what I would consider true household names. Shit, I would say Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro are more household mafia names. You know what I mean? Like they have played those characters, those types. So
you mean Jimmy?
You know what I mean? Like that.
And Tommy.
all of these just like classic ending in a Y names.
Yeah. I have one more blanket topic if you guys want to humor me.
Yeah.
This is I would say the second thing that really was just irking me right off the bat, and it just continuously got worse, and it would be the soundtrack of this movie.
Oh,
Oh my God, what are we doing?
hmm.
I just
all over the place.
it was everywhere. It was sometimes it was basically trying to tell me what I should be feeling right now, and we'll go into examples when we talk about scenes later. Sometimes it was saying like, yes, Pitbull was around in 1980s, and this song works perfectly for this scene. And I'm just like, where the soundtrack is as scattered as the movie as the storyline itself. It was a clusterfuck of everything going on wrong. And it just, no. Pitbull does not belong in this movie. There's not any scene where I'm like, you know what? Pitbull linked to this works. Do it. The whole thing was like, it's like he binge watched Scorsese movies and then binge listened to Pitbull and was like, I've got the most brilliant idea ever. So I don't know if you guys felt the same way about the soundtrack, but it
was Pitbull like that first song.
Yep.
But,
okay. And also the third song, and I think the seventh song, and possibly the 12th song. And
wow, I didn't realize there was so much Pitbull.
I think he ended it too. I'm pretty sure he was the ending song. There was Pitbull was just sprinkled into this one.
Interesting. Like
I didn't recognize any of Pitbull's songs, and wow. I know quite a bit of them.
Oh yeah, no, they were there.
I wouldn't recognize any of them, but I remember when
a couple Christmas songs.
Well, when that first song came on, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be one of these kind of movies." Like, because I was getting a little bit hyped. I don't want to jump into it, but I was getting kind of hyped in it, and I was like, "Okay, this is gonna be good." And then I never got that vibe back. It just kind of petered, and like you said, every now and then a song would come on, and I'd be like, "Okay," and then I'd forget about the soundtrack. Let's get into it. And what better place to start than the very beginning? I switched it up a little bit. It felt weird, but I don't like it. I'm going back to the actual quote. Julie Andrews, I'm sorry. Yes, let's talk about Gotti, the very beginning. So it opens with the classic mafia voiceover monologue, and Travolta crushes it. I know I've already complained a little bit about how his accent just falters towards the end of it, but he does a great job. And that being said, I'm not overly thrilled about everything, but having that kind of what felt like a pretty badass monologue to start off this movie, going into like this fun montage of real Gotti with some Travolta Gotti spliced in there. This hip hop music was upbeat, energetic, like. Honestly, it was getting me excited for this movie. I was getting hyped. I was getting ready to go. And I tell you, I do not remember what happens after. Like, I don't remember what it cuts to after those opening credits, because this movie jumped around so much afterwards. Like, I lost track of what happens when. Go ahead, Jen. We are still talking about the beginning, but I'm going with like the opening monologue and basically those credits.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, I thought the intro where you have Travolta just doing the monologue was really well. I was like, whoa, he's good. Because I've never heard Travolta do a New York accent. And I was like, oh, okay, he's got it. So I thought, I didn't hear the fall of it towards the end. I missed that. And then they have the music. And that song was so... like a beautiful broken song, but it was so good. Like it was so good, and it really tugs at your heartstrings and prepares you for like what you're about to endure during this movie. And then after the song, just to help you out, Matt, is when you have Gotti Jr. and Gotti Sr. in the jail. And they're talking. They're just across the table from one another. Okay,
perfect. So this just...
And that's how we find out about like, oh, I'm going to take the plea, Dad. And he's like, what?
Yeah, such a weird jump.
And so this is the thing. right off the bat, you almost you can see how scattered this movie is going to be because you're introduced to the inception of Gotti, where after life Gotti is telling you about a story, who then is telling you about a story of his last years, and then the last year's Gotti is telling you about a story of his life, and then other Gotti's friends are telling Gotti Jr.'s story about Gotti's life, and you're like, focus, people. Just tell me the story of Gotti. I don't need it to like 7 layers, and that's the issue. But like going to the beginning, I mean, that's exactly what happens. I'm kind of indifferent as to how I felt about the rap portion of the song. I did like the instrumental start. I'm like, oh, this is good. You've got New York at Night. You've got John Travolta doing his thing, and I'm like, okay, great, awesome start, guys. And then they kick you off into the monologue of real life Gotti videos, photos, all that stuff. I don't know how I felt about it being rap. I did like when the girl kicks in and she's doing her when she kicks in. I'm like, oh, this works. It's Pitbull's rap where I'm like, we might have been able to possibly do another song here. And then again, it goes right into, now let me tell you a story about my life, and I'm like, aren't you already doing that? But you're in the afterlife, so it's. I think it's a perfect way to set the tone as to how scattered of a movie you're about to watch.
I don't know if I would classify this as still the beginning, but I feel like it's still the beginning. But like post the credits in the actual footage, like the real footage, it starts with Gotti and Gotti Jr. in that interview room, right, where he's talking to his son.
Yeah.
Isn't that the first clip? That's like right after the credits.
That's what they tell me.
I would argue almost that the entire movie is revolved around Gotti Jr. because it starts off talking about what Gotti Jr. Has gotten himself into, and then it also ends with what happened, and then everything in between is the process. But I would argue that it starts off talking mostly. It starts off centering around Gotti Jr. and that Gotti is kind of like the storyteller.
My argument against that is, sure, it could be, but the whole middle part between, hey, I'm going to take the plea, to, hey, I beat this thing, is none of that has anything really to do with John Jr. It's all about John Gotti. So it's just this is where, like we've been saying, the movie loses all direction because it doesn't know which story it's telling. It thinks it's telling the story about John Jr., but it's really telling the story about John Gotti getting to be the boss, the guy of New York City, and then his downfall. Like it doesn't know which story it's telling. And it loses all direction right off the bat, if you ask me. Because like you said, Brian, he has his monologue. It's like, okay, I'm telling, like, and it's weird. It's weird to go from I'm dead to this is me before I die to this is where I was, and watch me build up. Like, it's why? It's weird steps. Go ahead, Jen.
My question for you guys is, can it be both? What if we stop looking at it as one person's story? What if it's both the father and the son? Because for me, and I don't mean to get preachy, but I couldn't help but watch this and have that saying of like, don't let the son take the heat, like for the sins of the father. Because a lot of what they showed was like a mirror image of the father and son's lives, but different paths. One went this way, one went that way. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this movie. And that's what that just kept ringing in my head, Like, this is what it's about. It's not about a single person, but the bloodline.
Jen, you've been talking about like getting into this father-son dynamic and everything. And one theme that I really do love throughout is that John Sr. is constantly trying to like protect his son. It's like he wants the best for him. He wants the best for him. Excuse me. And he's always like, that is his main priority. It is always, he does care about his family, but it is his son. Like you can tell that is up there. And a lot of the story is on the side of John Jr. like not getting into the life, and then inevitably getting into the life. But the movie tells us he was in it, but he wasn't really in it. But he was kind of in it, but he wasn't in it. It's like you're so wishy-washy with all of this. It's like it doesn't give us the hard evidence. It doesn't give us the hard story of John Jr., which was the focus we would need in order to buy into all of that. And it's, does he really not want to be a part of this? Was he really not a part of this? Like, we have to take so much of what they tell us as face value because they don't do a good job of showing us who these people really are. The story is jumped around and we see them in wonderful moments of them being great, having a wonderful time, or doing something dark and what needs to be done, or being clever. Like we get them in I'll say shining moments for all of them is just a blanket statement, not all great, but we get to see them in that limelight, and that's it. We don't really get too many moments of who they really are, with the exception, I'm jumping way ahead now, that moment where John Jr. hears John downstairs crying after I think it's the wake and everything and all of this. It's like he finds him in that moment. He sees him in that moment. Like that is such a huge moment in this movie of character development where we get to see this man who is the boss of the bosses. I mean, this dude is just he's the tops. I wish I could remember the song. There's no one better. There's no one great, whatever. Like I'm trying to like hype how big this guy is. And we see him in such a vulnerable moment. And there's so few of those throughout this movie that's what keeps it disjointed. Who are we supposed to connect to? Who do we care about? Whose story is this? And what is that story? I would have loved it if this movie was, how like Goodfellas, it's like the big buildup to like the big shit storm, which is inevitably what kind of happens in this. Is there is a big shit storm.
You're talking about the third act where it's Ray Liotta just starts narrating his entire day.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Like that's like that, but because that is the moment. Is that 24-hour period? It's the
one of the greatest moments ever filmed.
Yes. and this movie could have been leading up to the moment where the Paul is assassinated. It could have been leading up to, because that is a huge moment, or it could have simply been building up to the absolute aftermath. But the problem is this movie gets to that point and then it slowly comes down to, oh, and now here's the shitstorm, and it explodes again. Like it needs better direction. It needed so much better direction. And any of those storylines I would have loved. It's just not what we got.
The movie should have had a focal story and then tie in things that happen around that story. Is that what you're going with? Because like you were talking about, like, for example, Paul is the focus story, and it's going to be all the the build up to his assassination, and then kind of put in what events happen around that.
Yeah, because it's so focus on Neil a little bit, because everybody keeps saying, Neil should have been the boss. Neil should have been the boss. Everybody knows Neil should have been the boss. Well, why should have Neil been the boss? All we really get to see of Neil is him being like, no, you got to go by the rules. We got to do this right. We got to do this right. And it's like, we never really get to see him making choices or telling people he's like, this is what the boss said. We got to do what the boss said. And it's like, what makes you the boss, dude?
Yeah.
Like, so there's a whole lot of that could have been built up to the assassination of Paul and why it's taking place and why it's such an important thing that it can't happen until after Neil is dead. Well, because that moment of him, basically saying like, not while I'm alive. That, and then everything after that of him playing it out was like, here's what you're gonna do. Here's how you're gonna have to do it, or you're gonna do it after I'm dead. There's so much. There's so much that could have built up to that moment, and then the shit storm that's the aftermath of him going to prison. But are we ready? I don't have a title. I don't have a scene, so I'm gonna pants if somebody wants to save me and go first.
I'll go first. I'll be honest. Go ahead, John.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
Okay. Well, mine, I can never just pick one, you guys. I can never pick one. So mine is actually
the theme of the movie.
It is like compare and contrast. Let's call it a scene, compare and contrast. Because it is the two scenes. I like how towards like more of the beginning of the movie. In fact, I think that's the next scene after the father and son conversation is the bar fight with Travolta, and then the bar fight with young Gotti. I love those two. I don't know why. I just like it really. That was like my first like, this is like a mirror image of father and son, and it made me excited. I was like, the point of this movie.
I've got one, and I have a title. If I can say it before I lose it, please. So the scene is it's I believe it's the sentencing after who's the rat again? Sammy from the Bronx. Sammy the rat.
Sammy the Bull was the rat.
Sammy the Bull, not from the Bronx. Sammy the Bull. Sammy the rat. So it's after. Well, it's the scene of him like laying it all out in court, but it's Travolta's physical reaction that does the scene for me. And I named it "Gotta Go and Get You."
Oh.
Nice.
Gotta go and get you.
That's good. That's better than my title in that scene because I just stole a quote from it.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Hey, I feel good then.
All right. So my scene that I wrote down for the scene for Gotti is I've titled it "Welcome to the Family Son." I think we know which one this is.
The baptism.
What?
Oh,
The baptism.
Honestly,
it's not a baptism, no.
Not a literal baptism.
Their version of baptizing.
Sure,
They literally
go with that.
They call it a baptism
because every baptism has your finger being poked and. Anyway, but yeah, so that's definitely my scene for the movie. It was tough though. I struggled with this one a lot. I'm like, there's really not a lot of scenes going on.
Talking
like flash moments, but I'm like, and then once they got to it, I'm like, oh no, this is it. This just made it a lot easier. But I was concerned. I was definitely getting a little worried.
I'm gonna hate every scene.
Yeah.
This whole movie is shit.
All right, Nick, what do you got? So far, I think we're all divided.
Well, I initially didn't have one, and I was
never
thinking of one. But as soon as you said yours, Brian, I was like, oh yeah, that has to be it because okay. I remember really loving that scene. Everybody played their part perfectly. It was the serious tone, the like initiation and kind of conversation that happens. It's a big fucking deal, and I remember it being so tense and so well done. That like if I was to join the mafia, like this is how it's going to be. Like you have to, do all this stuff. But yeah, that scene I really like that scene too. So we're on the same page. I don't have a title for it.
Do we just keep talking about it?
Well, I was trying to think of a title, but I don't have a title for it.
It's because mine's awesome.
Welcome to the family.
I think my title is the best.
No, it's Welcome to the Family Son. That's the best part.
Oh, family.
Because it's his son already, but it's like, no. Now you're in the family.
Comma, son.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I wrote it down kind of because of what Nick was saying, but to me, this may have felt like the most authentic moment of the movie, where you can almost think that, yeah, this is probably how it went down. This is what they did. Their tone, their the monologue that Sammy the Bull is giving, where he's basically cracking down the rules and saying this is what we abide to. And then when they're done and he goes to walk Gotti Jr. to see his father, he says, I want you to meet this is your commander in chief. And he says, I want you to meet your newest soldier. And that is like capturing the mafia to its finest core, because they really were, it was very militant like. They had their levels of hierarchy, and the top of the top were the bosses, and then underneath was your underboss, and so on and so forth. And I thought that just by seeing that, and you're like, this is his son, yet they have completely ignored the fact that it's the son. It's like, no, this is now, that's your boss, you're his soldier, welcome to the family. And I'm like, oh, it was the scene for me, hands down.
Well, and to feed off of that, he has that scene, I think it's before, isn't it? Where or maybe it's after. I can't remember if he's made at that point, but it's Ange, as he's talking to him about going to see Angelo. Ange. I'm going with Ange.
Yeah,
and he's like, I have to treat you the same as everyone else. Like like you cannot be an exception to the rule, because the second I do, it negates everything that I've worked for. Everything that I do, like the second I treat you differently, it ruins all the progress that I've made. So I can't treat you any differently. And if I'm not mistaken, that is before he does his baptism or whatever. And I think it just makes that moment of like, when it's official and it's at that, it's like all of those choices that I made were like, I had to be hard on him. I had to make those hard choices so that he could get to this position on his own with the respect and what, like, he needed to earn it. Because that was the whole point with like Paul, was like, this dude just inherited his position. And they had no respect for him. And he knows if he's going to come into the life and he's going to do anything with it, with any sort of credibility, he's got to do it himself. And I don't know, it's part of that, like that father-son dynamic where you were talking about how, like, welcome to the family, son. Like, he was always his son and part of that family, but there's always been this other family. And talk about blood. I mean, it's blood is thicker than water, right? So it's a really good scene, and it's, for as subtle as it is. Was I the only person who thought the second guy going in was about to get like he's axed? Like I was
about to be Tommied.
Yeah, I was so ready for like shots to be heard in the background. I was like, fucking knew it.
When you think you're about to be made and you're shot in the back of the head.
Right. Well, you've got John, who goes in there, does the whole thing. Like, he's in there for, you don't really know what's going on because closed door. And then he comes out and he's all happy and shit. And he was like, it's all good. So you get to walk in there feeling all positive. It's like, that's right when they decide that they're going to fuck you. So I was ready for it. There were a couple of moments like that throughout this movie where I was ready for like the big mafia twist, like to jump ahead real fast, of like, I was waiting for a car to explode. And it finally happened. I was like, thank God. Yeah, that was I the only one
for the car bomb?
Waiting for that guy to die.
No, because I recognized it as his buddy.
I knew, well, and I remembered back to like the night where they got into their bar fight and somebody died. His buddy was there, and it's like, somebody's gonna go down for that. I don't know. It's not gonna be John at this point. I was trying to actually transition to your scene, Jen, if you were ready.
Okay, yeah, because it's kind of connected with the bar scenes, bar fight. Yeah, I just thought it was, like I said, you have to put them together, right? You have to watch one and the other. So with Travolta, I mean, we stopped fist fighting, I guess, in our 30s, right? So he's just blah with a gun. So it was a lot quicker. But then you go to the bar scene with the son, and it's essentially like the same thing. This is how it starts. This is how it starts. But I don't know. I don't know why I pick these things. I just do.
I too wrote down the scene that you're talking about, but it wasn't the first bar; it was the second bar.
So young.
Yeah, young Gotti Jr. I titled it "Killer Fight," and I liked it for a couple of reasons. One, you're definitely starting to see the apple hasn't fallen far from the tree by any means. But number two, it was the post that I really liked. And it was when John Travolta comes home and his reaction to that. And you're just like, it's like he knows where his son's life is going before his son's life knows where it's going. And I'm like, okay, this isn't bad. This was worthy of the scene portion of the Notebook. My Notebook, not the movie. Let me just clarify that.
I was like, wait, what?
This it was worthy to write down as a scene. But and I thought it was good. And it's always fun to watch a bar fight. I don't know. There's just something about it. It's like the environment. Freaking glass is constantly just throwing and everywhere. And then, of course, if you've ever been in a bar fight, the guy's reaction at the end is so genuine, where all you're doing is just debriefing what you just went through. And he's like, I mean, you swing at the wrong guy. And he's like, no, I didn't. He's like, no, you totally, like, he wasn't even part of it. And he's like, I didn't know who I was hitting. I'm like, yeah, I've probably said that exact line before where and just like the bar stools are flying, furniture's flying. Who doesn't like a good bar fight?
I love that, like, any bar fight always starts with something so small, like, hey, you just breathed on me. Like they always start for like the dumbest reasons and then they escalate.
Yeah.
To be fair, he did say, nah, we're good.
He did
multiple times. And at a certain point, you got to accept it. No means no. Don't buy them a shot. Don't buy them a drink. Leave them alone.
I think especially like who he is. I mean, you look at everyone sideways.
Well, and he was very polite about it right up until he punched him, right? I mean, he's like, oh man, we're good. Appreciate you. Like, it's like, it was no, thank you. We're good. Dude, no, we're fine. Bam. Like it escalated quickly, but there were lots of signs that it should have stopped well ahead of that. I don't know if my first reaction is to punch a guy. Shit. But I do have a question about that. Like, do you think that guy was trying to buy them shots because he did know who he was and he was trying to like, hey, I kind of want to be on your good side? Or could he have potentially have been an informant? I don't even want to say like an undercover cop or anything, because if it was police related, it probably would have been blown up even bigger. But Jen, you got your hand up.
Yes. So I have trust issues with people. So everyone is guilty, according to me. I don't trust anybody. So with this guy in particular, my perception of him was that he knew who he was and he wasn't coming out to him to be friendly. Mm-hmm. He wasn't necessarily coming out like to kill him, but he definitely wanted to poke the bear. And that's exactly what he did. I think it comes along with like the alpha male. He saw a big dog. He wanted to take a bite and he got rocked. He found out he's still a little pup and has some growing up to do. And wrong wrong playground.
Just a little fuck around and find out kind of situation.
Yeah, and plus you mix in alcohol and the liquid courage comes into play, and I think that's kind of like the character that I got. He was just a douchebag who wanted to take a bite out of the big dog, and he learned the hard way. Don't do that. Bad choice. He's not just a name. He'll show up too.
Yeah. Just quick for gotta go and get you. The main draw for me on this one, it's the acting that's the reacting that's happening from Travolta.
Yes.
The scene itself isn't necessarily of note for anything other than that, but watching this man boiling from the inside and trying so hard to keep it back. And then I believe when he's finally sentenced, he cracks a joke, like he's still trying to like, I've got control of this. And like, he makes a little smile and then drops it real quick. Like this man is fuming. And the way Travolta like just reacts to everything that's coming out of the rat's mouth, like, oh, he wishes he could jump over that thing and strangle that guy. You can feel it. You can feel that. So,
oh, wait a sec.
are you now realizing what scene I'm talking about?
Yes. We're not talking about the same scene.
No, apparently not.
Oh, damn. Okay.
What scene did you think I was talking about?
I wrote down for the scene that I thought you were talking about when he finds out that he has an FBI informant in his family.
For 19 years.
Oh, that guy. That just kind of gets taken out in the alleyway.
In the alley, yes.
No,
I thought that was the scene that you were referring to. I didn't realize that you're referring to when Sammy is on the stand.
I mean, both of them were great.
Honestly, you could say Travolta is throwing 105-mile-per-hour fastballs on both of these scenes. Like it is incredible.
Yeah, no, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Well, we can combine them, but the one that I wrote down the title was "How Am I Going to Kill a Ghost?" That is just that is a threat. That's up there with like Heat, where it's like I'm talking to an empty phone.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's a dead man on the other side. It's like, holy shit, do these guys know how to threaten each other? Yeah. But Travolta's action and his face that he's giving the minute he finds out why he can't be posted bail because the guy's life is going to be on the line. And then they're like, because he's been an FBI informant for 19 years. And Travolta he channels himself to a level that I've just never seen Travolta do. And like the tilt, it's what I used for the gram post. It's the picture of him as he's like being touched by him. Like the other guy's like touching him and begging him to save his life. And you could just, it's like, bro, I think your hand might be melting if you continue to touch Travolta or if you continue to touch Gotti right now. It's some deep level acting shit. But again, he's doing it on both. He's doing it when Sammy the Bull is on the stands, and the way he's just sitting down and just dagger eyes. I'm like, well, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead.
Well, you can see that like he's thinking, I have absolutely nothing to lose at this point. So we're going to destroy you.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to get up out of his court chair and just handle his business right there. In there.
You want to see a murder?
Yeah. Now I did it.
God. Well, just speaking of that, like how cold, like we got a few good John Gotti assassinations, and dude, they were cold. Like I think Jen, you mentioned it, like that bar one where he walks, sits down, and how beautifully played. But like I was so scared for those guys who were wrestling the dude who got shot, just because Gotti gets him like in the freaking eye, and these guys, their hands, their faces are like right by this dude's head as they're getting shot. Like, dude, that would, holy shit. Like, yeah, I'm scared of Gotti. I'm scared of this man. He shot this dude as I'm staring him in the eyes. Like, no, that fucks with you. I'm out.
That is personal.
Yeah, I am out. But I think every time he kills somebody, it's shots, turns, walks out, no big deal. Sorry, I know I'm jumping scenes now. Are we to this point of the show? I think so. When he gets the guy in the shower, I mean, he's in jail and murdering somebody. He gets out on furlough to get his teeth cleaned, dentist. Dude, just like, I mean, he walks into the dentist's office. He walks out the backside of the dentist's office, hops in another car wearing different clothes, walks straight into a hotel room, shoots a guy in the shower, walks back out as he says, "Nice job," hops back in the car, goes back through the dentist's office, back into jail. Like, that whole scene, how it plays out is wonderful, by the way. But holy shit, this dude is murdering people effortlessly while in prison. Like, that's nuts.
Mhm.
That's nuts. I mean, I think we've seen in other mob movies of like how, people killing people from prison. They're not actually getting out of prison and killing people. They're just ordering the hits and it's taking place. Like, this is next level. Do not fuck with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jen.
Well, it's mentioned he had the cops in his back pocket. So there were definitely some dirty cops on his side. And my question is, did the cops drive him to that hotel to murder that? Was that a cop? The one that he just kind of turned his back. He got out of the passenger seat, turned around, and didn't look at the hotel.
I don't think
I understood that as it hit being a cop.
I think to keep up the facade, the cops had to they had to stay planted outside of the dentist office. Like, that's them guarding him while there. So that's why he walks out the back door and he hops into a different car. I imagine that's just one of his drivers, one of his crew.
See, I didn't catch that it was a different door. It looked like the front door. Like, no shame. Like, it just looked, and then the cops were the one that drove him to the crime. I'm like, what?
Yeah, same. I thought the same thing too.
No, I read it the way Matt did, because the one thing that I did notice is the cop car had two individuals in the front seat, and then he was in the back, where the other car had only one individual, the driver, and he was the other. And I was like, okay, I think that's to distinguish law enforcement versus one of his friends or something.
Well, I think the big problem too is the cars look exactly the same. Like, there's no distinguishing color.
They could have made it a little easier on us.
Yeah.
Like one being an actual cop car.
Yeah.
But that's what makes me wonder. It's like, I think it was a cop.
Oh. Hey, maybe give it a rewatch, see if it actually earns that 4.6.
Yeah.
And Gotti's the smile that he gives when he signs the paper.
I loved it. Just
so crazy.
That's what I mean. Like, this dude walked out of prison, murdered somebody, and the first thing he does as he's walking back into prison is a genuine smile. I mean, yeah, he's showing off.
Oh, he Travolted it.
It's sarcastic as shit, but like, that's a I'm happy.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jen.
I'm glad that you guys mentioned this, because something that always gets me with mobster movies or shows is that they are so evil. Like, what they do is absolutely evil. And yet, I think what makes them still lovable is their love for family and elderly people. Like these guys, I think it was right after the bar scene, they just killed somebody. And then they're like, go help that lady, go help Mrs. Johansson. I'm just like, oh my gosh, how is this brain? It's crazy.
I have two things to add to that. One, there There was that. But there was the old lady that lived above Neil's place that he takes over, and I'm pretty sure has executed so that they can just have claim over the entire building and don't have to worry about somebody hearing anything. It's just kind of mentioned.
Oh,
And I'm curious because I don't know if I made this connection, if that's the same old lady that they help with the groceries. I'm curious if it's the same lady. Because they only mention names. Like we see her in that moment, but they only mention the name of who lived above Neil's place.
what was
That
the name?
I don't remember. That's what I'm saying.
Because
I'm
they say the name of the old lady too. They say,
yeah.
go help this whoever, Hammy
Yeah.
or something.
I'm curious. So if anybody wants to hunt that down, I'm curious if it's the same old lady, just because that would make that little bit in this movie so much funnier and so much darker.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I want to check that out. Somebody else do it. It's gonna break my heart if that is.
It'd be so funny. God, but that's my twisted sense of humor.
I had a thing, like a kind of a new segment. If
Yeah.
it's similar to like, so we have the scene of the movie, and like that's the scene that we really, that's what we think of when we hear the movie. Do
Mhm.
you think we can add like the scene for you, or like scene for us individually? Like this is the scene that connected with me the most.
I think that's what we're asking.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same.
No, that's different. Because like if I were then like if the scene for the movie has nothing to do with myself, it's just like, oh, that's the scene that I think connects with the movie. But what scene connects with you as a person? That's completely different.
Mm,
I'm with you. I've been kind of doing it as one and the same.
Mm.
I kind of. Oh yeah, I get what you're saying.
For me, the reason I picked my scene was because I was thinking about different scenes, and like just for me, that was one of the most powerful acting scenes, and that's what stuck with me. But also, what a wonderful moment of like showing John Gotti. So like that's so I try and cheat at that, I guess.
Oh, okay.
I'm a two birds with one stone kind of guy.
I get it.
Did we have a different scene or anything? Like I think we're just jumping now.
I do, yeah. Can we talk about um
You.
when well it's like it's a lot. So can we talk about Frankie?
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
I'm blanking on
The
Frankie.
worst. This was the worst.
Oh yes.
Yeah, this was the worst thing because I knew it was coming up. As soon as I saw the kid on his bike going wee, and I was like, oh no. Like already I was covering my face. I could not watch it. I knew. I just wasn't sure if it was gonna be on purpose or accidental. And the way that they handled the situation, I still don't know if it was on purpose or accidental. I don't think they care. But so that was horrible, but I have to give credit to that scene of the mother mourning. She, oh my god, it broke my heart. I could feel every ounce of her pain at her, and like, but what was beautiful is right before that you have John Gotti crying his eyes out, and it's probably the most innocent that you're ever going to see this man be, and it was just so touching. And then the fact that Gotti Jr. saw it as well, it's like it helped him see like, oh, my father is like human, like it's like wow. And I don't know if that would like make him respect him or maybe think less of him. I really don't know, but I just it was very well scripted and played out. I think they nailed this whole scenario or situation, whatever. I lost my words. Done.
I think they rushed through the healing process maybe a little bit, from like the death to kind of a moment that I really like. But I'll talk about the initial scene. So Frankie, watching this kid just literally weave across the entire street, I'm like, son of a bitch. Like you said, it's coming. And as it's all happening and I'm watching this, I'm like, this damn kid, like it's, and like you said, I don't know, like it feels like it, like, dumbass kid, why? And then there's the car making the turn and seeing there's plenty of time. You both can see each other. Like, how does this happen? And the fact that they don't show it, obviously, because like it was, I'm sure it was an accident, but either way, it was an accident and the child died. And it was awful. The weird details that you find out afterwards, though, that the guy, as they're still mourning and trying to get over this, the guy has not repaired his car. He's a neighbor. They see it all the time. Like, I mean, and of course we're getting the Gotti side of things. And I'm not trying to swap sides or anything here, say who's right, who's wrong. But I can imagine if you're the driver of a car that kills a child in an accidental way, that's going to stick with you and be scarring as well. Like, I mean, you killed a child. So like, I can't imagine it's easy on any party. And God knows how horrific it was for the mother and the father, like for the family. And like you said, Jen, she does a great job of showing that pain. And I do love that moment, the seeing him cry, because it's such a vulnerable, it's the only vulnerable moments you really see. Like, there's no, I don't really want to call it weakness, but it's, seeing John Gotti as human, as something other than this godly being. But God, see, now I've lost my train of thought of the thing. And it's right there at the end with all of this stuff. I'm ready to move on if you guys want to go. I can't think of what that. I'm so upset. I'm so upset because it'll hit.
I just want to, I guess, kind of press you guys a little. I agree the scene is well done to a certain extent. And it's kind of what you guys were saying. To me, it was too predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a common theme throughout the movie where you can predict a lot of things. But as a movie watcher, do you want it to be predictable, or would you rather be a little taken by surprise, like, holy shit, like that kid just got hit, where it wasn't so obvious that the kid's about to get hit, or it's not so obvious that these two, once they start up that car, it's going up in flames because of just the way that it was filmed and everything. For me, I kind of wanted a little bit more of an element of surprise. And fuck that guy for not fixing his car. At the very least, hide it in your garage or something. Like, what is that? That is just that's just messed up. You don't leave the dent of your car that is the result of the death of a child. You repair that immediately so the family and the neighbors don't have to see it. Like, that's just, that guy is an asshole.
It's like he backs into the driveway and then like has the dent on the sidewalk for everybody to see.
It's just beyond disrespectful. But anyway, that was the question I had for you guys. Just about the element of surprise. I just wanted a little bit more.
So to answer your question, I think when it comes to like a fictitious character, element of surprise is okay. But the fact that this was based off of a real person, a real family, and real events, I think to keep it respectful and delicate for the family that is still around, it's better to like make it known, because you have like they don't want to have to relive that, and then to also, like, I don't know, I like how they did it. Me personally, also with children, let me know if they're gonna die because the element of surprise for a child to die, it's no. It's too much.
Yeah, this was a moment where I liked the choice to kind of foreshadow for so long because it helps build that tension. It's like you do know it's going to happen, and by adding that length of like, is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now? It's setting up the world around it to be like, yeah, everything's just normal, everything's fine, and then the accident hits you, and it's not necessarily a surprise, but it's more devastating because at least the way that it plays out in this scene is it could have been avoided. Like everything from the details that we get to see, we know like this could have been avoided. One part of the scene of like the recovery process that I really liked that they showed was you see that the mother is clearly on antidepressants and she's trying like she's on all kinds of meds to move on. And there's the tough love moment from John Gotti where he's like enough is enough, and it's like the way the whole scene plays out and even the tone and everything of like it's stern but it's filled with love and like I care about you and I know that you're hurting and this is not me saying that you shouldn't feel this way, but this isn't the way to do it. We got to move on. We have to do better. We're never getting him back. We have to accept that. But we have 4 other children. We have to care about them too. And you see all of those moments where John is just showing his strength and just his ability to remain calm and the leader of this family. And that's why when you get the moment of him in the middle of the night, when he thinks he's alone and safe, allowing himself to be vulnerable. That's why that moment is so big, is he's remained the rock for so long through it all. Go ahead, Nick.
If you guys haven't figured out by now, the one thing I look for in movies the most while watching them is the editing. And I really like how tasteful the edit was from the clip of the car, hitting the kid and then cutting to the mother in the kitchen, kind of like hearing that crash and like looking up and, hearing the worst. Because they could have filmed the entire crash, like the car, you see the vehicle hitting the kid on the bike and then the kid, flops down and like, blood of whatever. Like they could have done that, but they kept it tasteful enough to just cut from the car to the mother. Yeah. And because I was thinking like kind of what you were saying, Brian, like, would they do the element of surprise to where they don't make it predictable and then they hit you with the surprise of the kid getting hit, but then they also show like, what I was just talking about. And I think it's more tasteful by not having it being a surprise and not actually showing the hit itself.
Yeah, the element of surprise actually came from the mother. Like that's where the element of surprise was directed to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you weren't expecting her to just have the reaction right away because she's, in a house, right? But then when it cuts to her and she has that reaction, you're like, oh shit. She senses something bad just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mommy's tuition.
Mm-hmm.
I got a scene.
Lay it on us.
Mistletoe murder.
Mistletoe murder.
What?
I'm fairly certain I know what you're talking about, but I can't picture it. there were a couple of moments at like winter, Christmassy, New Year's time, and that's where it's throwing me off.
Yeah. Maybe I could say mistletoe and murder. But basically it's the takedown of Paul.
Oh, okay.
Outside the restaurant?
Yeah.
The steak.
Oh, yeah.
My backup title, and I was really mad that they didn't use them, would have been Silencer Night.
Okay.
But they didn't use them, so I couldn't do that. I'm like, damn it.
And yet he couldn't hear those gunshots from 20 feet away.
Yeah. No, I wrote down this scene because it's obviously if you talk about real life history, this is a very important moment in the history of the mafia. This is the boss of all bosses just got taken out. I mean, it's like this is like game changer at this point, right? And then just the way that they filmed it, it wasn't. I don't really think I had any complaints about it. Maybe a little. Part of it was all scattery. It was almost as if they didn't want to show too much violence and whatnot. So there was multiple gunfire, but you're not really seeing much of anything at that point. And then you just get the one shot of Paul. He clearly has a bullet. He took a bullet to his eye, took a couple to the chest, and you know that he's dead. But even then, it wasn't like a full on, yeah, he's gone, until you actually see the real news, the actual news that was used in real life in the movie about the assassination of mob boss Paul Castanello. Is that it? I can never pronounce his last name.
Sorry, just cost 222 is asking if we would ever eat at a known Italian mafia run restaurant.
I don't know any.
Eat at an
Oh my god!
If you knew it was
100%, I would.
I have no reason not to.
Guarantee you, like grandma's recipes are in the back of that kitchen.
It's gonna be some good food.
No doubt about I'm not doing anything to piss off the mafia. I'm on your guys' side. Give me your pasta, man.
I'm just here for the food. I'm just here for the food.
I'm just here for the food. Yeah.
Just here for the food.
I got no game in garbage or casinos, or as a matter of fact, if you get shot, I can save your life pretty soon. So
I have no money or useful skills.
I would order to go. Just you never know what's
little dine and dash or Uber Eats.
Never a dine and dash. Am I stupid?
No, isn't there? It's like Uber Eats.
Oh, you just mean DoorDash.
No,
Dine and Dash.
I was like, no.
Dine and the last thing you want to do in a known mafia place is dine and dash.
I'm giving them the biggest tip.
Dine and DoorDash.
Jen does that. She gives them like freaking like 60 Yelp reviews in a row with different names.
Fantastic. Yeah, I would go check it out, but I would definitely take it to go.
What was it? Oh, so I was talking about the murder scene, right?
Which one? Yeah, it's Paul's murder scene.
Paul's murder. Yeah.
Mistletoe murder.
Right, or mistletoe and murder, but. Anyway, they've got Silent Night going.
You just want these silences are so bad.
And I'm like, okay. I mean, I see what you're trying to do, like it's the slow song paired with the intense action, and sometimes people have executed beautifully. I'm not sure how I think this one was a little too on the nose with Nick, you were talking about editing. Did you guys happen to notice when the lyrics "Sleep in Heavenly Peace" came on, they just happened to be filming right over the dead bodies? I'm like, really, guys? Like, do we need this many breadcrumbs? I get it. But all in all, I think they did a good job at giving for those who weren't at the steak diner, I forgot the name of it, that night that Paul was taken down by other mafia members. I think they did a good job at showing what that event looked like, sounded like, all that stuff.
Yeah, Jen.
I kind of want to switch up a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I mean, it's all connected. But can we talk about the newscasters that they have? And my question, I put it as a head scratcher, but it's also a nitpick. But it also makes me just wonder. So I'm not like a profiler, okay? I couldn't help but when those newscasters were giving out names, first and last names, they just seemed all too eager to do it. And it makes me wonder, my head scratcher is like, did they get paid to spill the names for the mafia? Especially like when, for an example, is like the guy that ended up killing Frankie, like hitting him with his car. There's just this one guy, he's like the blah blah blah, and he says the first and last name, but there's something about his demeanor that is like fearful in a way, but also like, I'm gonna rat this person out. So it just makes me wonder what was in it for them. I did not like the newscasters. I did not like them at all. I was like, are you fucking stupid? Like, you're aiding and killing these people.
I don't know, because I felt like for most of the part, like it seemed like the newsreels were like actual newsreels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So it made me even more mad.
well, the one that you're talking about of that where it's the guy that's basically relaying the story of this guy was the one that killed Gotti's son, and he was seen being pulled out of this, being beaten by guys, tossed into a car, and then this guy was basically met with these people. Like I think that scene was probably written for this movie, not an actual newsreel, because just the way everything was kind of played out, it felt like more script written. And I agree with you, because it didn't feel like an actual news report. Like that felt like a fabricated story. Like it felt I don't want it to. Every time we do mafia movies with real people, I always feel like, damn it, I don't want to criticize anything. But I'm gonna do it because that's what we fucking do. It felt like this was the way they wanted that story to be told.
Yeah.
And and I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it did feel like, this is what we want you to say this, and that's how it's played out. It doesn't feel like a genuine news thing, where it should feel more like, this is the information as it is, not with any sort of like tone of, and these guys are the bad guys. Like, kind of like, you're not supposed to do that. Impossible, but you're not supposed to do that.
It raised suspicion. Especially that one guy, but there are other ones too where I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you? And the fact that these were real clips.
I'll add to that. I think the whole, like, yes, the news is supposed to be objective, right? They're not supposed to have a bias, but they do have a way of fear mongering, right? So they let the public know, based on their tone, that these are dangerous people. And that's what gets people to watch the news, is because they want to see the bad that is happening and be aware of what is going on. So newscasters kind of have to put that tone in what they say, because I mean, at the end of the day, they're just talking heads. Somebody else is writing the script telling them what to say, but they have to give that tone of like, hey, be cautious, be on your toes, be somewhat fearful. But they don't have any sort of a personal connection with the mafia, as far as I know.
That's how they want you to think about it too.
Yeah. I think maybe some of them got money in their pockets. That's money talks.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. I mean, look at the last scene of this movie where, I mean, there's cops assassinating. Like,
yeah, you can't trust anybody out there in New York,
Anywhere.
You can't trust anybody. Just stay inside at all times. Nobody ever leave.
Yes. Stay indoors.
If you need food, get yourself the DoorDash, but remember, they got to drop it there, and you make sure that they're far away. You Home Alone that if you need to. Get the BB gun out and shoot them through the doggy door if you got to. We learned this. That's how you stay safe, kids. That's bad advice. Was Nick's hand up or Jen's first?
I think it was mine. It's not really a scene. It's kind of more of a point, or I guess a nitpick. There's I wrote this down too, but it seems like anytime somebody gets murdered by gunshot, any witnesses that are like in the room or in the area, they have no reaction. And the
Life.
two that I wrote down was in the bar. I can't remember who got shot in the bar, but it was towards the beginning. The woman bartender, she just has no reaction. Like she just stands there and just watches. And then the other one, in the motel room, the guy that gets shot in the shower, the woman that was on the bed, no screaming, no reaction, nothing. She's just sitting on the bed with her blanket, whatever. And I'm just like, well, how are these people just like, are they so shocked that they are just stunned and have no words and can't make a sound? Or is it just bad acting? Like, is that one?
I'll take this one.
I don't know if he could tell I was pointing at him. You're down to me, Brian.
Oh no, I'm to the right of you.
My screen. That's cool.
No, this one is pretty simple. This is the mafia that is doing the killing, and guarantee you, because she even Gotti said thanks to the chick. So that was a setup.
She's a lady.
All her job was to get him in the hotel room, do the thing, and get him in the shower, and that's it. Kill point on point, right?
Didn't know that.
The reason why that no one's reacting is because they most likely know that these hits are coming.
Mhm.
And back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, especially in New York City, the last people you would ever want to piss off is the mafia. They ran the cops, they ran the garbage, they ran businesses, they ran restaurants, they ran New York. They established and built Las Vegas. Vegas was built off of mafia money, plain and simple. You didn't fuck with the mafia in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It just was, you just didn't do it because they were in so many pockets. Yeah, I mean, you still don't.
Jen.
Yes.
That's what I was.
You still don't, but it's like, it's nothing like it was back then. I mean, it's New York, Chicago, those are your hot zones. And the reason why there's no reaction is because this was super authentic to me. They knew it was coming, and then guess what? No one knew what happened. They never saw a thing. They weren't there. Like you didn't piss them off, and you certainly didn't rat them out.
So it was almost just like everyday life. Like
It was
just another
day-to-day
cold-blooded
business.
murder. What's
Yep.
for dinner?
It was day-to-day business. How was your day? It was great. Went to the bar, saw nothing. As a matter of fact, we didn't have any customers.
I saw nothing.
Weird day. Really weird day. I decided I needed to mop my floors though. They looked a little dirty, so I took
There was
back.
too much ketchup. That somebody.
How was your day, hun?
Yeah.
So that's my take on that, Nick.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But I did to add on to it. I mean, like you said, in at least the case of the hotel, the woman is absolutely an informant, and it's likely that the woman at the bar was as well. But you have to remember too, and you see this a lot later in the newsreels and things of people talking about Gotti, like they loved that guy. They loved him. And if he is seen murdering somebody or any of his people are seen murdering somebody, the assumption is they probably deserved it. In which case, I see nothing. I see no, like, it's, it was justified. That person probably deserved to die. That's it. You don't talk about it. Hey, cops, there's a dead body I discovered and it's been shot. I don't know. Dead man. I don't know. 26 bullets to the head. Best guess, I don't know. Maybe it was a shotgun.
He clearly was holding a gun and had a seizure.
Well, as you can see, Watson, the man took off his shoes to fire the weapon with his toes. But unfortunately, he tripped on his other slipper and shot his head off.
Oh. I mean, I do love learning the fact that, he was killing people that that probably deserved to die, and that's why. I mean, is that why people loved him? Was because he was ridding the world of the infestation that was causing, wrongdoings.
Yeah, it's so strange. I don't know.
This is actually one of my nitpicks with the movie is they paint him as this savior of the neighborhood, this god of New York, but they never really talk about the stuff that he did for the neighborhood.
The why, yeah.
And I mean, you see little glimpses of it, like the guy says, "Oh yeah, the gym shut down because of whatever violation," and he's just like, "You know what? Back open. Don't you worry about it." Like, I mean, it's clear, like you said, man, they ran New York. They kept businesses open. They kept New York City alive. They that's what they did. But I mean, you don't get to see him do any of that. You don't see him involved in the neighborhood. But you do get to, so there is the moment where I think it's 4th of July. They've got the fireworks going off and the cops roll up and he's just like, "Look, we do this every year. You're going to give me grief now? Do you have money for bail? Cool. Do you have money for fine? Cool. We're fucking doing it." Like, there's no stopping us. There's no stopping us, no matter what you guys do.
That can I pause you real quick? That interaction was, I was like, okay. Like I said, I've got some positive things to say about the movie. That interaction between him, his buddy, and the cops, the dialogue was so perfect. Is my lawyer, do you have my, or what was it? Do you have my lawyer on standby? Do you have bail money with interest? Like that, just douche.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, that was good. It was like watching like two professional athletes that are just in sync with each other. Like, just set up, layup, and dunk, or soft pitch and just slant, out of the park. Like, it was just so beautifully synced. And I'm like, those are people you don't fuck with, because
they're always
that's authority. That's law enforcement that they're talking to as if they are pawn scum. And I'm just like, and they are so believable. That scene was, or that moment, that little dialogue was just really, really good.
Yeah.
They're always one step ahead.
Always.
Got bail money with interest. That's the one step. Yeah.
Like, what a response. Not oh yeah, I know it's in the bank. It's with interest. So give us what you got, hot shots.
This was another thing that I think they fail with Gotti is the man was smart. Like, he planned, like he was he a guy that was killing people? Sure. But he wasn't just the guy pulling the trigger. This dude earned his spot to be a boss.
Oh, he earned his stripes.
He earned his spot to be a boss. He earned his spot to run things and to control things. And it's because of moments like that of like, we're setting off fireworks. I don't give a shit about the permits. I don't give a shit that they're illegal. I don't care, because I'm covered. I am covered on all. We'll take care of the fines. I've got my lawyer. Like, I'm so golden. There's nothing you can do to touch me because I'm prepared for it. And you notice with all of these movies, that's the mindset. I'm in total control because that's me. That's what I do, is I maintain control and power of every position until I lose it. And then it's desperately trying to grab it back. Go ahead, Jen.
This might be a hot take. I'm a little scared to say it. But it's a question. So, do you think Gotti was so respected because he knew how to handle power appropriately? At least for what they portrayed in this movie, he didn't have like that power trip, like, I'm going to be the best. Like, he just lived his life. And it's like, and they were saying, you see with the real life news, like the people on the street, like, he kept the streets safe. Like, he got rid of the bad people. He donated charities, built businesses, all this stuff. And it's just like, I don't know. My take, agree to disagree, but I think he knew how to handle power to an extent. I don't think there's ever a good reason to kill somebody. We don't do that. We don't take the lives of people, But I don't think he was I don't know. I don't think he was an asshole.
I feel like Gotti's role is that he's doing what police officers don't do. Like the police agencies are too liberal, right? They'll make their arrests and then the criminal like goes on trial. Then if they get the death penalty, like that takes months, years to do. Gotti's like, nope, this guy is he does A and B. I'm gonna execute him because we need to rid him off the streets now. And that is beneficial for the community, right? It like saves taxpayer dollars, like he's just doing like the stuff that other like government and police agencies just would take too long to do or just won't do at all. So he is the power and all of that. And so like that's why he has like the power of the community on his side. Go ahead, Matt.
Going with that stuff, I mean, so to call back the Rocketeer, right? Like, I mean, you're talking about how the mafia in this example is, it's keeping the bad guys off the streets, the really bad guys off the streets, the ones that will cause trouble, that are fucking up the neighborhood. Like, and not disagreeing with that, but calling back to the Rocketeer, where it's a time of World War II, and there's Nazis and infiltrating government and all of this stuff. And the mafia was heavily involved with helping find those people, because the mafia it's not a police force. It's a military unit. These guys are country. They spread across this entire country. They're everywhere, wherever they need to be. And they're doing their thing. And that's Jen, like you're saying with the power thing. He is a man who understands power and how to use it. And this is a guy who has now gained control over this military unit. And the reason that he is able to do so and people respect him for it is because he has his code of conduct. He has, these are our rules and we do not break them. And you can, even the moment where he's like, I have to break these rules in order to save us, right? Like that's what it all comes down to. I've got to do the bad thing so that we can all be in the right. Because the big problem with Paul was all he cared about was the money. He didn't earn any of the things. So he doesn't have the family that needs to be. You're not looking out for the neighborhood. You're not looking out for your brothers who are on the lines, who are doing all of the dirty work for it. You're not looking out for them. He was there. He started from the bottom. He's now at the top and he's earned every bit of it. And that has gained him so much respect because, again, he has maintained this code. And that all comes down from the same respect that Neil had for the code. This, I can't remember what they called it. What was it? Novus. You know what I'm talking about? It was Nova Costas Novus, or
yeah.
Whatever that really is. Like that meant that was it. That was the deal. And when you have that level of respect, when you have that level of control, and again, every time we see Gotti, the man is collected. He's giving you exactly what I mean. I don't run. I show exactly this man knew who he was, and he was confident in every aspect of it. He knew power. He knew how to use it. Did anybody have any scenes or anything that they wanted to kick us off with?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
It is her night.
She's the host.
I have a head scratcher.
Yes, these are my favorite.
Okay, good. So the guy, I'm pretty sure that the guy he was yelling at was Ange, but it's when Gotti goes to the parking lot and he's yelling about the guy. We don't hide. We don't hide nothing. If you're going to show up, you show up. Why is he yelling at this guy for? And who is this person?
It wasn't Ange.
It wasn't. It wasn't
wasn't-
Angelo.
Okay, so who was it, and why was he getting yelled at?
Angelo, right? Angelo.
I don't remember. It was one of his crew guys, and it's because he got caught. Like somebody was taking a picture of him, and he was hiding his face because it was him being connected to John Gotti, and Gotti
Mhm.
took offense to that, and he's like, "You do not hide your face. You be proud of working with me, of being associated with me. You hide your face again, that's coming off." That's what it was. Like his whole thing, Gotti never hid. That was his thing. It's like, I am who I am. I'm up front, and like, I am John Gotti. So for his guys to like hide themselves as if they're ashamed, and it's like, okay, well, that's a massive red flag. And if you are acting this way, how much longer until you're talking to the cops, the FBI? You have faltered so much trust by covering your face. So that's how I saw that moment, was like, this dude, he got caught hiding himself.
Okay. Well, to me, it just sounds a little stupid, but I get it.
You know how these mafia dons are. They're a little sensitive if they
Yeah. A little prideful. Respectfully, please don't come at me.
Yes. I don't know anyone or anything. No, nothing. I'm worthless. Well, that's not true. I'm not completely worthless. We have a wonderful show here on Twitch.
I drink and diamond paint. Leave me alone.
There we go. Brian, you had a scene you wanted to get to, right?
No, not a scene. It was more of like a, you could say, a slight continuation of what we were talking about before the break.
Okay.
But I wrote down a head scratcher only to realize that, especially at the end of the movie, I'm like, I don't know. I can't answer this. I'm wondering if you guys could. But me personally, I feel like I couldn't answer it because, unfortunately, I didn't get enough information from the movie. But it's clear that a lot of citizens of New York, especially around the time, 80s, 90s, because you could tell a lot of the clips were from that era, just the style of it and everything. You could tell that they really liked John Gotti.
They respected him.
So the head scratcher to me is, was John Gotti a good guy for the city of New York? Like,
that's what I was kind of asking.
It's like, you may have done horrible things, but I don't know. I wish, it's why I wish someone were to tell the autobiography of John Gotti better, because that is when you can start assessing your own opinion and really like digging into the facts and all that stuff. But it's like, if you're taking down people who are doing horrible things to people, raping children, eliciting drugs in the city, all that stuff, fine. I mean, evil takes down evil, right?
Sorry, was Gotti involved in drug trade at all?
No. Even their rule when Gotti Jr. was not made.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
One of the rules were we don't mess with bombs and we don't do drugs.
Yeah.
And it was like very clean cut as to like, this is what we do. You don't go after a made guy. If you need to take down someone, you have to have the boss's approval. I mean, it was very, in a way, well structured. But at the end of the day, we're talking murder here. And that's kind of like where the line gets a little on the fuzzy side, because it's like, no one ever wants to root for someone's death. But if someone truly deserves, because they're just being absolutely monstrous people, I'm not one to shy away from saying that person deserves to beat another heartbeat, especially if you're raping women or even worse, child abuse or pornography or anything like that. Oh no, you don't deserve to live. It's a done deal. You've already crossed the line. And I don't know if those are the type of people that the John Gotti and the Gambino family didn't tolerate and all that stuff. So it's just I had so many questions that you wanted answers from this movie and it just didn't provide. Was it Nick, Matt? I don't know who.
It was me first, but
Okay.
So I know we kind of started talking about this earlier, but the whole thing is divisive, right? Gotti's whole thing is, there's like a sense of lawlessness within mafias and mafia families. So and they take matters into their own hands, but the law is that whether or not you murdered or raped a child or whatever, like you have the right to a trial, to a fair trial, right?
Right.
And so yes, technically what Gotti is doing by murdering these people is it's still illegal.
It is.
And
like I said, the fact of the matter, this is murder. Like that's what it boils down to.
But that's why this is also divisive, because you have a group of people that are like, yes, end that child rapist's life. Like he doesn't deserve to breathe another breath of fresh air on this earth. But then you have the other people who are like, no, he has a right to a fair trial. And it's the politics of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, for some people, Gotti was great and he was a hero, and for others, probably didn't think too fondly of him. Go ahead, Matt.
Everybody is the hero of their own story. There's no reason for Gotti in this story, in this movie, to come across as anything other than a good guy, because it's his perspective. It's what he is doing is a necessary evil. What anybody in the mafia is doing is a necessary evil with the right perspective. And that's the complication of this. You can't, when you ask a question, was Gotti good for New York City? Maybe.
Who you ask?
Well, it's maybe. This was one man that was in control of one arm of the mafia that controlled however much, and within all of that, there are hundreds of thousands of people underneath him that are connected, that are doing things. Maybe not here, maybe not in New York City, but it's all connected under his umbrella. He just happens to be at the top where like he makes the decisions of who goes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy for somebody in that position to absolutely paint themselves as the good guy of, I'm walking around town, I'm handing out cash to kids, I'm handing, this shop is broken down. Well, hey, you know what? Here, I'm going to take care of those fines. Don't you worry. We're going to open back up. You know what? And here's a little bit extra. Go get some new groceries. Go get some new clothes. Like it's you can look like the king because you're able to. You don't have to do this stuff. I mean, to say that they weren't involved with drugs it seems a bit naive. Maybe, yes, they didn't do drugs at the top because you need a clear head to be, because the second you're caught getting high, look what happens. I think was it Joe Pesci in Casino or something that was constantly getting fucked up and doing drugs and stuff. You know what I mean? Like you get sloppy, then you become vulnerable. Like it's those are why you set those boundaries at the top. It's like you got to stay clean. You got to stay good. Let the guys at the bottom fuck up and get themselves screwed up. Like they know nothing. They're pawns. You got to be better than them. So, but to say that they have no connection, that seems naive. The things that they're doing, we don't see in this movie.
No,
like I mean, what we see in this movie is
we don't see any of their operations.
We see them self-policing. We see them taking out their guys that are causing problems. We see them controlling themselves. But we don't see what those guys are doing. There's one guy, I can't remember who it is pretending to be psychotic so he doesn't go to jail. This dude has to walk around the city with a blanket on and the chin. The chin, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like it's that they're still going through these bonkers levels to just do whatever it is that they're doing, and we don't know those details. All we know is what's happening. Of this guy's fucking us up. We need to get rid of him. Well, this guy's causing this problem too. We need to get rid of him. Well, this guy made this decision without this guy's permission. You know, like it's all within itself. We don't see the actual operation. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, it's almost like they were cops, but without the badge. That's how this movie portrays them. It's like, okay, we're gonna do what the cops can't do, technically. So it's like they're doing everything, just eliminating the law altogether. They're like, "Meh."
Well, that's because the law was in their pocket.
This feels like another Goodfellas reference, but Robin Hood. How's it any different, right? You're taking from what you believe to be a corrupt system, a corrupt government, and taking what you believe to be yours and spreading that. It's the same concept. It's just on a much grander scale.
How the movie is painting him is almost like a saint in a way.
Honestly, just in general, it does not do a great job of portraying him at all.
No, I mean, it doesn't.
Travolta does a phenomenal job, and but they really tell us nothing about who he is and what he wants. We get face value desires from. Go ahead, Brad.
Quick little head scratcher.
Okay.
You guys remember the character or the name Gas Pipe?
Yeah.
Yes. It was Gas Pipe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If this event happened in real life and there was an attempt on Gas Pipe's life, I understand that you can't make him die in the movie, right? Especially if he lived.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of problems with the way that they filmed this scene. Because they had I forgot who. I don't even know if we ever knew the guy that ended up
assassin.
What?
The would-be assassin?
Yeah, the would-be assassin. I don't know if we ever knew his name. But he pulls up on the motorcycle and he's practically point blank to head, to body, to anything that would get the job done.
Yeah.
And just misses beyond miss. I'm just like, if this really happened, if it was an assassination attempt that went wrong, please don't make it so like, how did he miss? It's just, to me, that's just bad filming. Make it to where it's like, he saw me coming up ahead, or anything like that. But don't make it to where it's like literally like my computer screen, I'm the gun, and that's the head, and you're gonna tell me that you missed that? How do you miss that? And then you pop him like 2 or 3 times, and then you see him the next scene where he's got like a limp in his leg and he's got a cast on. I'm like, what? It was inexplicable the entire way. And it was just like, it's like, once again, they knew a patchy part of Gotti's life, and they just stitched it together with duct tape and cotton balls and hoped that they got something out of it.
So there's a couple of assassination attempts in this where it seems very, very shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so this being one, like you're saying, the dude is super close and somehow cannot get a kill shot with 6 bullets, and baffles. But also, I obviously that event probably happened to some degree, and I'm curious as to what those details are that they base this off of,
right? Because
I can see these details being true. A guy finds gas pipe, goes to fire, he hits him in the arm, hits him in the leg, no kill shot. Like, I can see all of it playing out exactly as it did, but I think like what you're getting at is the way that it's shot looks terrible. This guy, it's just, how can you be that bad?
Yes.
I don't know how you necessarily improve it, but everything about that scene, like the assassination in general, was just terrible. This dude rolls up on this guy. He's being stared at by 6 men. 6 people are staring at him as he's firing this gun, and he stares back at them and then takes off. Of course, with gas pipe surviving behind him, where they heal him up. They see his scooter. They easily track him down. Like, it's a terrible assassination attempt. So I imagine whoever hired, and I guess this is the thing with when they keep doing these jobs of, you don't sanction it with the bosses, you try and do it on your own, you end up with these shitty assassins that don't get the job done.
Yes.
And you end up shooting yourselves in the foot. And it's like, why? This is why you have rules, right? This is why you have rules. Listen to the bosses. Because the same thing happens with the bomb, right? Like, this is, again, I was waiting for this scene, waiting for a car bomb, because it's just a classic mafia move, right? And they say it in the end, like, we don't fuck with bombs. And what happens? They do the classic car bomb, trying to, and I believe they absolutely were trying to get John, because I think it's Paul is actually trying to make an attempt on John to stop him before he can get a chance to take him out. And they just killed two guys. They just killed 2 guys. So, like, these are bad assassinations. These are bad assassination attempts, because there's no guarantee. But what happens when John plans an assassination? To the T. To the T.
Yep.
I mean, and I'm to the point where this dude rolls up to the restaurant. They're waiting for him to show up. They literally don't make it out of the car. They do not make it out of the car. 3 guys roll up. Bam, 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 bam. Just constant shots. They are down for the count, and then they're out of there. And who rolls by? John, staring at us like, yeah, that fucking happened, bitch. And then out of there. I mean, the deed is done. Everyone is gone. There's no chance of cops getting there before anything can go sideways. And nobody's going to say shit because it's John Gotti. Like, this man has planned it and of course, I think they show it like there's nobody around, and assuming that they were that lucky, there's nobody on these streets. Plus, they're they have the guys on the streets. I wouldn't be surprised if they were controlling it. Like, pedestrians walking by, it's like, hey, get the fuck out of here. Brian, I think your hand went up, and then Jen.
Well, Jen had her hand up, put it down, went back up. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
There was I think it was in this movie where it's just a quote that I like. Can I share it?
Sure.
And it's like, somebody was asking God. I think I might be confusing it with Suits, because I'm watching both.
So close in tone.
Some guy, I think, was asking Gotti, like, what would you say about the steak restaurant? He's like, I'd say the chicken Caesar's to die for.
That was Gotti.
What was it?
Okay. Some guy was like, so he was asking Gotti at this point, it's like, what would you say about, like, the steak restaurant? Like, what happened outside the steak restaurant? And his response was like, I tell him that the chicken Caesar's to die for.
Yes. Yes.
Mic drop. That was so
Such
good.
a good line.
So good.
That was a good one.
Matt, you just reminded me, I forgot to say this. So with the soundtrack, they were playing old school music and more new music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, if there was one new music that I would allow in the movie, is when he's driving off after the assassination of Paul, and they do that, that slow-mo of the car driving and the look on his face.
I wrote down that cold ass drive by.
Yeah. You know what music or what needle drop needed to be put there?
I don't want to know what you're thinking.
The intro to Still Dre.
Ba-da-da-da-da.
no.
Boing, 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 boing. That song, yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's next episode.
Yeah.
Still, no, it's still, isn't
Is
it?
it
Still,
Still.
DRE?
still,
Still.
right?
Is it? It's still Dre, isn't it?
Still ripping the streets.
I know-
Still. Something. Still.
I know what you, but I know what you mean.
That
That
It's the DRE. Yeah.
the
Yes.
piano, just that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You drop that on that scene, I'm like, oh shit.
What? Name a better needle drop song. Like, come on.
It's tough. That's up there.
Like, you could
for
switch-
like, well, it depends. That wouldn't work for like a kid opening up a Christmas present, but for someone that just
Huh?
committed an assassination, that fucking works. Like that needle drop. I don't think there's anything better.
What if like the kid's Christmas present was like a gold chain?
That works.
I don't know if that works.
I have a question.
That
Sorry, I guess it's a head scratcher, but I don't remember why I wrote this down. But maybe somebody can answer.
We get to decipher his notes.
It's just it's
Decipher.
in this
Decipher.
in like,
It's to die, Cypher.
I don't know why I don't remember the reference to the scene, but my question is, who is Joey Ruggs?
Oh damn.
Dude, I don't know any of the characters' names.
See, that's my problem.
Like-
this is my problem.
There's too many. There's too many.
I have to think that I wrote this down because at some point somebody was telling some story that where it's like this big deal, and it's like, oh my god, remember Joey Ruggs? Oh no, I remember Joey Ruggs. It's John Jr.'s girlfriend's, their wife's dad, Joey Ruggs.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
Joey
yeah.
Ruggs' daughter.
Yeah.
And he's like, Joey Ruggs, and it's like, who is Joey Ruggs?
That's over my head.
Okay, so
You gotta be part of the life, Matt.
yeah, well, that's fine. I'm glad that we're all on the same side of just like, yeah, who is Joey Ruggs?
I feel like that sounds like
It's a great Italian nickname though.
maybe he sells.
Sammy the Bull, Joey Ruggs. Man, they really had it down.
I mean, Joey Ruggs sounds like the guy who kills people, wraps them up in a rug, and tosses them in the. That's who Joey Ruggs sounds like.
Toss him in the
But he's like
fucking
also a
ash.
rug salesman, like Jen was saying. Like he sells rugs as his day job, but then his like nighttime job is he wraps up dead
Wrapping people up
in
in
rugs.
No, I
He
think
kills the people he sells the carpets, the rugs to.
he gives
When
me
I
car
said-
sales vibes. Like if I really had to choose, like he gives me car sales vibes. Like he's a
Oh, he's got a
successful-
toupee.
He's a successful owner of a car dealership.
It's like Joey Ruggs cars or something.
No,
Yeah.
what's a good R name for a car?
Rolls Royce.
Rolls Royce. There we go. Rugs Rolls Royce. Wow, that's
Rugs
Oh
Rolls
yeah, that'll stick.
Oh, yeah, as I'm saying. Well, I'm trying to think of another R, but she hit me with a Rolls Royce, which is too many R's.
There's not a lot of
You get the
R's.
It's even
intent.
funnier.
You get the intent, but now I'm thinking the rugs refers to him being bald and having a toupee.
He wraps the bodies in rugs when he
I like the bodies and rugs.
I think that makes him sound like a badass, but based off of how John responded to Joey Ruggs, like Joey Ruggs. Like I think it's more likely he's known for his toupees.
That's okay.
That's it.
That's what I'm saying. It's
And please don't come at us. We're just talking.
this is all me guessing. This is pure hypothesis.
Fantasy.
I've got another quick scene,
Okay.
but I thought it was pretty. You felt for him. You really, really felt for him, and the scene is called "On the Shelf for Life."
Oh,
Why was he on? That was a head scratcher too. What did he do?
you got this one, Brian?
Yeah, he sanctioned the hit without without getting it
Prove.
okayed by the boss.
Ooh.
He didn't go up the chain of command there.
He's lucky. All he did was get
He
shown.
kind of went rogue, and it failed drastically.
Is this
And then everybody found out because the guy survived. They found out who went to kill gas pipe, and then that's when you get the torture scene on how we got the information, and you know, and then all of a sudden all the members or all the bosses are like, nope, he's got to go. He went after a made man, and we never approved it. Nothing was said. Like, he went behind our backs. I mean, he did everything in the book wrong on this one. And so then John Gotti was like, listen, maybe we don't have to kill him. I'll just put him on the shelf for life. Does everyone know what on the shelf for life means?
like you're out of the family?
You're out and no one's talking to you. You're basically Tom Hanks in Castaway.
You do not
Yeah.
exist.
What?
Like you're shunned.
Beyond shunned.
You do not exist.
You are, yeah, exactly. You're basically the living dead
Yeah.
when it comes to that. And when he actually was put on the shelf, you could see how heartbroken Angelo was. And, you know, just power to the actor, because it's like, and then what, we find out a couple minutes later that he died from, they said cancer, but the truth was he died from a broken heart. And when you saw the way he looked and the performance and everything, and then to go and defend John Gotti when his son came, I'm just like, oh, you are a true OG, because even though you've been put on the shelf for life, the minute Gotti's son said one bad thing about Gotti, he shut him up so quickly. And I'm like, that was just, it was a really good moment of the movie there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt. You've been patient.
I mean, that the way this whole scene plays out, like you said, and it is before John Jr. is a made man, because I mean, you can see when John walks in, they all stand up, they're silent. I mean, they all know what is about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And
What is a made man? What is that?
You're untouchable.
Untouchable.
Yeah, you
no one can kill you. They can't fuck with you unless they have the boss's approval. And you got to go. And in order for that to occur, that's when some serious shit has to happen. Like, I think if I remember,
you have to really
GoodFlickas does a really good job at showing what it takes to get that done, because no, Tommy wasn't made.
No, he wasn't. He thought he was going to be.
Tommy went after a made man. Never mind.
Yeah.
Tommy killed a made man. I'm thinking of something else. There's one of the mob movies. I can't remember if it's Heat or which one it is. A Casino. I don't know. Someone tries to go after a made person, and you kind of see the hierarchical level that has to happen in order for it to actually go down.
I think that's Pesci in Casino.
Is it? Yeah, Pesci in Casino.
Yeah, because he's all pissed off. He's like, they ain't out here. They don't know what the fuck we're doing. Like, they don't understand what it takes.
That they have to take down Pesci.
They have to take
because
down
Pesci is the main man, right?
Yes, but he's also yes. He's the made man that's gotten too big for his britches.
And they want. Okay, see, I knew Pesci was involved somehow. Okay. So so does that help as to what made means?
Yeah, so what Ange did was a big no-no.
Big no-no.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Matt, for interrupting.
No, you're good. Because so, you know, he walks in and everybody stands up and they know what's about to happen. And the scene plays out where Travolta is talking with this guy, and you can see like I'm not even gonna say Travolta. John Gotti is trying so hard, like he can't look at him.
Mm-mm.
He can't look at him because he's like, why did you put me in this position? You know I love you. You're my brother. Why would you do this to me?
Yep.
And And I mean, it gets to the point where like, he doesn't even give Ange a chance to defend himself because he can't, and Ange knows that, and he's like, "I saved your life, and that's it. That's literally all I can do. I saved your life." And
Not to mention, this is the second fuck up.
yeah, it's
the Angelo Ruggiero tapes brought on a shit ton of heat on the family.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's it. It's like, he was lucky to get one strike, let alone two. Like that was it. You don't get a chance for a third strike. You're on the shelf. And like Brian was saying, Ange's reaction, his response to it all, like you can see he's devastated as he's walking through that bar and everybody is ignoring him. He's like,
I thought he was gonna get
no, he knew he fucked up. He knew this, and it's just, I think it was just kind of him of like taking it in of like, yeah, I know, but also this is his last chance to see his friends.
Yeah,
and like it's a weird moment of, it's sadness, it's respect, but it's also disdain and anger. You were our guy, you were our friend, you were our brother, and you betrayed us, and you don't exist anymore. And that's why there's that moment with Ange and John Jr., where John doesn't understand what's going on. He's not comprehending the full gravity of what's happening. And Ange is even just like, no. And he walks away. And then there's that scene where John Jr. is there and he's trying to talk and devastated, heartbroken. And like you said, he immediately, don't you dare say a bad thing about your father, because he knows that he knows Gotti did everything he could for that man. And it's like, I put myself in this position. I did this to myself. I have to pay these consequences. And all when, he thought, as always, trying to do the right thing, always trying to do the best thing, and fucked up big time. And I agree. The way everything that is said and how it all plays out, it really does. It feels like he absolutely died of broke.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, Ange did a great job. I don't know who played him, but he did a phenomenal job in those moments.
I can look it up.
Oh, God. When there's the Neil,
it was Pruitt Taylor Vince.
The scene where it's after the tapes and he's doing the whole thing to like defend, like he's trying to defend himself. He's panicking. He's like, I don't know how this get, like he's and then Neil just hits him with the get the fuck out of here. He has that moment where he looks at John and he's just like, I'm so fucked. Like he's so scared. He's so scared. But he God, man. These dudes are next level. I mean,
I don't remember him, but he's uncredited in Dr. Dolittle.
Who is he in Dr. Dolittle?
Patient at Hammersmith.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. Oh, he was a big part of it's our Mark and then 0513. At that moment you can see him for all of 2 seconds. So
yeah.
But
I know exactly what millisecond you're talking about.
He's got that big goofy smile on.
Yeah, absolutely.
That big
heartbroken. Anything but heartbroken in that one.
No, big Ange smile. He's looking good. Actually, he actually has a bit. It was deleted where he bends over in his hospital gown and you see his ass. But unfortunately, like I said, it was cut, so it didn't make it to the final. But anyway, it's fun lying about other movies. Let's talk about this one. I guess it's a question for you guys. Something that I was pondering.
We call those head scratchers here.
I know, but it's more fun to hear you say it. The noggin itchers. I don't like that either. No. The noggin itchers, that's bad.
So bad.
Itchers.
So bad.
It sounds like a terrible baseball team.
Yeah, it kind of does.
I was gonna say that sounds like something out of like Seven Brides.
Oh, okay. Me. Anyway, so
you gotta go find those noggin itchers.
Yeah. Oh God. All right, focus. So my head scratcher. Do you guys believe that John Gotti is a big fan of James Bond? He is drinking a martini He
Oh, this is
dresses
good.
nicely, and he even makes a joke / reference to Pussy Galore.
Oh, this is good.
I
He
think
doesn't
he's
use a silencer.
Wow,
though.
Matt, brilliant.
He doesn't use a silencer on his guns though, so I'll argue that.
I don't think a silencer is synonymous with James Bond in any way, although I
Yes,
do.
it is.
He doesn't always use a silencer.
Well, we also have to remember were silencers a thing? I don't know. I don't know really. I'm not big on gun history.
Silencers are bullshit. They don't silence anything. They suppress. That's it.
Right. I'm just saying, was that a thing in the 80s, 90s?
I mean,
I don't know. I just thought
Yes.
that's what James Bond was like
Wow.
known for.
Wear
His main
suits,
weapon was a
drinks
pistol with the
martinis.
silencer on it.
You're right. He even he referenced Pussy Galore. I think he's a big James Bond fan.
I
I
think
think
it's,
he's checking enough boxes. Are there any
I-
more?
I mean, those were the ones that I was noting. Was he always drinks a martini? He makes Pussy Galore reference. He's always dressed in like a good suit.
Did he ever say he had a license to kill?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was one of his little monologue things.
Yeah.
That's probably too
I-
on the nose. if
I
he
think
said
there's
that.
enough evidence.
Well, I would get the impression that the family was like, not many people know this, but he was a huge James Bond fan. Is there
That's so
any way
good.
you could like work those little details into his character?
I
And
love
Travolta
that.
was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
That's so weird to think like, okay, go to the movies, hit the matinee, then whack a guy.
This dude woke up in prison, decided I'm going to go to the dentist and whack a guy, then walk back into prison. You think going to a matinee is any different? Hell, that's a bomb ass Saturday if you ask me.
Matinee, dental cleaning.
Yeah,
same
catch
difference,
the matinee,
you know?
kill a guy, go get my teeth cleaned. All good.
Get rid of the real cavity.
Yeah. Uh,
That's so weird.
but that was my head scratcher. The other thing that I had, that I guess it's still kind of a head scratcher, but it's like quotes. So it's John's youngest kids. I believe it's when he's they're taking John Jr. to military school or something, and the kids say they don't like ice cream and they don't like pizza.
Oh, what's
God.
going
Bullshit.
Beyond bullshit.
Bullshit. One, no child is going to say that they don't like ice cream. Are you kidding me? If they do say that, they just haven't found the right one yet. Thank God for
Like
30 flavors. Shout out to Baskin Robbins. And what child says that they don't like pizza?
How about
Shout out to
Cold
Cold
Stone?
Stone.
Like I have to wonder what happened. Like what happened to those kids for them to not like it?
I-
Jen, did we just reference Cold Stone at the same time?
I think we did. I was like,
Nice.
yeah, I about Cold Stone.
Fuck yeah. Cold Stone is just
Top tier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cold Stone is a treat. Oh my God.
That birthday cake remix.
Dessert
Mm-hmm.
in a show,
all I know
Gotta
is
have it.
all I know is I Gotti have it.
I gotta have it.
Gotti.
Oh my God. That needs to be a promotion.
The Gotti size.
That needs to be a promotion. The Gotti have it.
The Gotti
It's
have
like 5
Gotti
years
have
after the movie came out. It's like, wow, that was a very dated reference.
it. Yeah.
Who cares? Who cares? Yeah, sorry. That was like that. I guess more of a nitpick, really. But like, I think we're all on the same thought.
Fuck those kids for not liking
Yeah,
pizza
fuck
and ice
those
cream. That's basically what you're saying.
Those kids are liars. They're full of shit.
I just came up with a head scratcher because we're talking about kids. So this is what happens apparently. What is the kid's life like that basically watched his dad get gunned down?
Oh
How
God.
fucked was that?
Right?
Oh man.
Wait, what was this?
Towards the
That's when
end.
they're taking out all of the bosses.
Yeah, it's when basically I forgot who well, Gotti's sent to prison
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
life. And then this is when the bosses of all bosses are just cleaning shop at this point, right? Like basically the Gambino family is kaput. Yeah.
Wipe them out.
Sleeps with the
Starve 'em.
fishes. But it's they were one where it was his I think the quote was they got second was my best buddy or my good friend Bobby, and he gets out of the car, he's wearing an all white tracksuit, and then they
Jesus,
shoot him
son.
from behind,
Ah.
and his son is staring at him. He's got like a mask on.
He's holding like a toy, just staring at him through the window.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the worst part, like he's staring there, and the two guys that shot him, like he's watching as they walk up and continue to shoot. Like,
Yep.
So to answer your question, probably not well.
Yeah.
He didn't have much of a reaction either. He was not an informant.
I don't think he understood what was going on.
Yeah.
He knows that his father's being shot, and I'm sure that's just traumatizing enough. I mean, you're a child. Imagine you're 5 years old and you watch somebody get shot and murdered in front of you. Yeah. What are you going to do?
That's
Probably
like instant
and
cry.
Piss yourself.
You're just gonna
instant cry. Like no waiting.
You have no fight or flight at that age. Your response is you're dead. You're frozen. You're frozen. Poor child. God, it's so fucked.
Yeah, that's sad.
And it's weird too, because they always, we were talking about how they're good guys. They don't kill they don't kill civilians. They don't fuck with kids. And it's like, but then you do shit like that.
Yeah.
You're totally fucking with this kid. It's so messed up. Oh.
Like at least turn the kid around first,
Or maybe, I don't know, wait until a moment where he's not being stared at by his child.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had another to kind of flip that. How do you think
that's right.
Gotti Jr. felt seeing that, how his dad only knew his dad died because of the news?
Oh,
that was impactful too.
That's tough.
That was really sad. That was sad. Yeah, you're in prison, and then you watching the news about your dad, Gotti, and he's died at 61. And that's how you find out.
Yeah. In other words, today's weather is.
Yeah, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking as well.
I thought that was a really good callback to the moment where he's in military school and he's doing his schoolwork and whatnot. And it's on the news and people are watching, talking about the Gotti. And it's they know exactly who he is. And he's sitting, it's a good callback to that kind of moment. And it's also you have to think how many moments happened like that, where John Jr. was wherever life had taken him in that moment, in having to, the tabloids, the newspapers, all of these things that are talking about his dad.
He was almost like a celebrity.
Well, I mean,
he was a celebrity.
He absolutely was.
And the mob hated it.
They always did, didn't they? I mean, same thing happened with
how
Nero in Casino, right?
glitz and glam. He was. And if you think about it, think about Casino and think about John Gotti. If I remember, Casino was based off of an actual real life person, right? Was it Jimmy Hoffa? No, I'm mixing it. The Jimmy Hoffa was Teamsters. De Niro's character, I forgot his name.
I can't remember.
They had similar features. They wore bright suits. They were in the cameras and in the spotlight at all times, and they wanted to be the big shots. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the mafia themselves were, the of the five families and all that. They're just we don't need this type of spotlight on us. This is not what we're about. Why can't I remember?
Well, it's so an ace is an ace in Casino.
Ace, that's right.
But I know that they changed his name. I'm trying to find who it's actually based off. They changed names for reasons.
And then while you do that, the other thing that I know about, we talked about a little earlier, but Sammy the Bull.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing I do know about him, he he was pretty much responsible for the disembowelment. I think that's the word, but basically the destruction of organized crime, starting with John Gotti.
Yeah.
So Sammy finds out that Gotti is about to turn on him. And rather than just let it happen, Sammy's like, well, you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you twice as hard. And now all of a sudden becomes the FBI's number one informant for the crime and basically organization of the mob. And he goes into witness protection, and then he goes on the stand, and he basically seals the deal to put Gotti to prison for life. You may have noticed in Gotti, none of this was even mentioned. It was basically, here's a court case. I'm a rat now, even though I told your son, don't be a rat because we kill rats. He's now literally the ultimate rat. He's still alive to this day. I think even like 2 years ago, he's done episodes and podcasts about experiences that he's been in. So he's still going.
That's insane.
Just the fact, I cannot believe how brushed over the movie Gotti did for how much of an important an influence to the FBI that Sammy was, and you would have just never known.
How is he still alive?
I don't know. I think he's like in the 80s now, 70s or 80s.
You would think he'd be dead the next day.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he lasted long enough that it got to the point where it's like he knows nothing useful anymore, and there's no real point in it. It's already been done.
Or things that he knows are essentially irrelevant because people are long gone, like the original Dons of the Five Families and all that stuff.
I did get the name of De Niro's the inspiration for the story. So it was Frank Lefty Rosenthal.
Yes, I knew the last name started with an R. I just couldn't think of it. But anyway, so I don't know. I just feel that they really should have taken a little bit more time to do some research on Sammy and really lay out the foundation as to how the tables turned, how all of a sudden, like, I know Gotti was going after Sam because Sam was basically his wingman. He was the underboss. He was as close to Gotti as you can get, but he was also the type of person that Sam looked at as competition, to where if people start turning against me, you could easily be the next Don and have my position. And Gotti was, from what I've gathered in research and everything, Gotti was the type of person where it's like there's only one John Gotti. And I think the ending of the movie kind of symbolizes that. It's, what does he say? You'll never meet someone like me in 5,000 years.
Yeah.
And so if someone's kind of trying to, take the crown from the king, he's not going to fare with that well. So he decides that he's going to basically plan the attack, or I don't know if he was going to try to assassinate Sammy or what the deal is there. And then Sammy just did the absolute Hail Mary that no one saw coming and goes to the FBI and says, hey, I've got a lot of confessions. I'll confess to my 19 murders and I will give you everything you want as long as I'm basically granted immunity and blah, blah, blah. And you just don't see any of that. And I'm just like, this is the juiciest of a pear or a peach or whatever. And you're just going to let it sit and rot. Like, it's as stupid as not putting Joe Pesci in your film. Like, there just too many mistakes were made.
Yeah, I'm with you. It all goes back to the writing, the editing of the story. It has no direction.
Mm-hmm.
It has no direction. Because I agree with you. That is a huge deal. That is a huge deal. It's a
This
huge
is the
moment. Like,
takedown of John Gotti and organized crime.
well, like I said, it all should have what do you call it? I'm not thinking of the phrase, but the last drop that tips the pail over.
The straw that breaks the camel's back?
Maybe that's not exactly what I'm looking for. I was trying to avoid that one.
Okay.
Either way, it's the same thing. But that being the assassination of Paul, right? Because that's where, like, okay, now we're set off on the true trajectory of where he's going to end up. And it all should lead, like, it should be about how big this court case is.
Yes.
Big Sammy's testimony is. Like, there's no real build up to it to show the gravity of what it meant and what the implications were, not just for John Gotti, but for the entire crime family, for everyone, for normal people, like what it meant. They don't touch it. They don't touch it.
The buildup should have been like A Few Good Men.
Sure.
About when they were going to.
That could have been the whole movie. The whole movie could have been about this court case,
right? When
flashbacks of what's happening.
Yes, exactly.
This movie has no direction. That's it. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's
tough. It's really tough.
Yeah,
because it's such a fascinating story.
And this is why I like.
And I don't know half of it.
TV show. Doing it as a show, you can get so much in.
Yeah, you really could.
Yeah, I was surprised to see, like, before I even pushed play, I was like expecting, okay, this is gonna be like a good 2.5 hour movie, and I was like an hour and 45. Like, already, I was surprised.
Yeah. Even more disappointing when they clearly rushed everything at the beginning, right? Like, just jump to scene. It's like, well, fuck, man.
Way too quickly.
Yeah, take your time with it.
The time, like, even the timeline was just like, did you just randomly pick, like, I'm in 1975. Nope, now I'm in 1982. Oh, now we're in 1990.
And there's no indication.
There is. It's just, a little white font.
Barely in some.
The same way that they're introducing names of characters, they just have like a white font here and a white font here, and I'm like, cool.
Okay, so who has seen Boondock Saints?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
The way that they introduce the dons and the underbosses, it's like, okay, freeze frame.
Yes.
Like, you get this typewriter of all their little attributes, everything you need, bam, we're right back into the movie. Like, it's very stylized and it works very well for that movie. But for this, it's just flashing up a name in the same white text that all the other credits came in. I stopped looking at them because they were doing this at the beginning. I was like, oh wait, those are the character names?
Yeah.
Like, there's so disjointed. It terrible job.
We keep talking about like the storyline and how it was just scattered. It's like the premise of the movie was basically, we talked about doing a crime and then a crime happened, and then we talked about doing a crime and then a crime happened, and we talked about doing a crime and a crime happened. I mean, that was really it. And then we'll throw in, John Gotti gets caught and sentenced to life.
Oh yeah, I guess we should talk about that too, huh? Yeah, it was okay. Tough. I want to say the IMDb like description for this movie is like the late life of the later years of John Gotti. Like, that's it. It describes nothing, and it's because that's it. It is. This was the last decade of John Gotti's life. Fact. That's it. That's what this movie is the last decade. That's all you got to go off. There's no story there.
Here's a letterbox. He showed the world who's boss. John Gotti rises to the top of the New York underworld to become the boss of the Gambino crime family. His life takes a tumultuous turn as he faces tragedy, multiple trials, and a prison sentence.
Wow. That sounds so exciting.
It's like saying a lot, but nothing at all.
I mean, that's more than IMDb's. Here's the one sentence they have for this movie. The story of crime boss John Gotti and his son.
Thumbs it up.
My God, it's like
And it's not wrong. That's the saddest part. That is the saddest part.
John Gotti wants to go to the movies to watch James Bond. He makes a left, then a right, then he parks.
But you know what, Matt? At least there's no spoilers.
Oh my God.
You know?
True. No spoilers, but there's also nothing.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, we talked, this movie bombed at the box office, did not make its budget back. And I wonder why. How do you sell this when there is no story? I with the in the chat earlier talking about how trailers now are either too much information or not enough. And this, like, I don't know, you could be the greatest trailer editor in the world, and trying to build a solid story with all of this movie, you can't. You can pick an aspect of the movie and that's what you can lean into, but this movie has no central story. And that makes it impossible to sell. How do you get people to see something that there's no real desire? Trying to sell a movie just because it's Gotti, like that's the name and that's all you're based off of, like this legend. That's all you're hoping on. Like, that's not enough.
Yeah.
Was it in theaters or was it just streaming?
I'm pretty sure it was in theaters, wasn't it? Let me see.
Well, it had worldwide gross. I'm guessing it had to have.
Yeah. This was before COVID. So
before COVID, yeah.
So it would have definitely been in theaters.
That's wild to me because I'm like 6 million for a theater release for an A-list actor. Like that just seems so low.
So
we know what John Travolta thought of this movie?
No, I didn't see anything.
So for the United States, it has its release date as June 15th, but it also has it listed as limited.
Oh, so probably select theaters.
Yes. I'm thinking
that doesn't surprise me.
I'm thinking it was.
This doesn't scream summer blockbuster.
Well, I would bet that this was a part of the time of we do a quick, we release it in theaters. It doesn't do well in the first couple of weeks. We get it out.
We scrap it
weeks and we throw it on streaming.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds right.
This almost seems like what's the term? Dumpuary?
Mm.
Of what?
Have you heard the term dumpuary?
I've not.
Dumpuary?
I think I understand where you're going with it.
Dumpuary is where you kind of get like February, like late January, February, where Oscars are kind of done and summer blockbusters and spring aren't really here. So it's kind of the trend of not the greatest movies are coming out.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just drop them.
Like, and so yeah, you just drop them and see what happens. I will say I did find myself writing a few quotes. This definitely had a couple zingers.
I've got a couple as well.
Okay. Are we ready for quotes?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sweet.
Yep. So am I.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first if I can steal the first one.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
So for me it was the opening monologue this was how he ends his first little like I'm John Gotti thing at the beginning. This life ends one of two ways, dead or in jail.
Yeah.
I did both. Like that felt like such a badass moment to just be like, because he's so solid right up in there, and then it's just like I'm a badass.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah, I think in that same scene actually is my first quote. Gotti says to his son, he says, "Closure is a word for the overeducated and underintelligent motherfuckers."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, damn.
It's hitting too close, Gotti.
Yeah. I'll just go in order. So this is really no particular order. So from the top of the page here, I wouldn't fuck her with your dick.
Yep.
Oh my God.
What an insult.
I did not catch that one.
I what I loved about that scene was the drivers laughing so
Yeah.
much. And Neil is like, "What the fuck are you laughing at?"
Which
And he repeats it. It was like he's laughing at, "I wouldn't fuck you." And I thought it was such a genuine moment. If you're about to tell me that it absolutely was just like an improv thing of like they let it go, I could feel it.
oh no, that felt like a steal from Goodfellas because he didn't say what are you laughing at. He said what's so funny.
Oh, that's
And it's the way he said it. I'm like, come on, this is no. We're not taking Tommy what's so funny scene. We're not doing
No.
this.
No. What I liked about it was it felt like a genuine moment of like that the driver, the guy who was playing the driver, like was having a hard time not laughing and
Yes.
trying to keep the scene going.
Yes.
And it just like they just kind of leaned into it. And Travolta in the moment was like he's living it up. He's like he's laughing at I wouldn't fuck her with your dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't actually write it down as a quote. I kind of paraphrased it, but it's the jail family visitation scene. And when Gotti's wife and the kids they're all sitting at that table, and
Yeah.
for some reason I can't remember what the initial conversation was, but Gotti says to his wife, he says, "If you do that, I'll kill you." And then, like, just within a minute, he's like, "I love you." Mwah.
This was the quote.
I love that.
Yeah.
This was the quote I was gonna say too, and I wrote down. I was like, "Gotta love the toxicity of mafia marriage." Kill you. I'd like to see you try. Gotta go. I love yous. I love yous too.
Yeah.
Like just like
I'm glad you wrote the whole thing down.
Yes, they're so mean to each other, and all of it because what it was about. It was about I think it was Frankie wanting to be a cop, or
Oh yeah, for Halloween.
be a cop for Halloween. He's like he's berating like that was a great moment. Go ahead, Brian.
One of my favorite things that, and a lot of I've seen Italian show like Sopranos do it, and it's a trope that's in a couple of mob movies too. I love when hardcore, very scary dudes are dialogued to try to explain the simplest things. It's just to me, I don't know. There's just something about it that's just so funny. And my example is in the scene when he's talking about like what is it that you want to be, and he's like you could be Casper, and then he goes and he's like you could take the white sheet and cut the holes, and I'm just like this just hilarious to think of like America's #1 godfather is breaking down how to make a Casper cartoon or costume. I love when they do that. I love it. It's so funny to me.
I love that he would rather have his kid wear a sheet with 2 holes cut out of it than dress up like a cop.
Yeah.
The worst Halloween costume ever, just a white sheet with holes cut out of it versus a cop. Much better.
But it's like, I swear, if you've seen The Sopranos, I know they had Tony do it. They had the other guy do it. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it where you got these dark Italian gangsters, and then they have to just describe the simplest thing, and I don't know. It's just so funny to me.
It makes them human.
Mm-hmm. I have never take a backward step.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, little life advice there.
Mm.
This one is just so funny. If I robbed a church and had a steeple sticking out of my ass, I'd deny it.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Way to paint how basically Gotti was pro not guilty every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Deny.
Out of my ass. That was good writing. This fucking cancer, that is the ultimate fuck you. I've never heard anyone describe cancer that way. I thought that was really good.
Dude, when he's sitting there and like, I mean, he's basically dead, and he's just like, the nurse is even like, "Why do you keep going?" Like,
And he said, "Because every day I live is a fuck you to the government." And I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
That like encapsulates the mafia in one phrase.
These
Okay.
last two are probably my bid for in competition for the best quote of the movie. First one is, "It ain't titles that honor men; it's men that honor titles."
Yeah.
I was like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
that's really good." And then the next one is from Mrs. Gotti, and it's her one thing where I'm like, "Oh, okay, you did good. I brought him into this world. You brought him into the life."
That was good.
And I'm like, "Oh shit."
That was powerful.
So those two, like I said, those are kind of, I'd almost say that that's a tie for quote of the movie for me. That's a that's a 50-50 split decision.
I forgot quoting the movie.
That was too hard.
I'm gonna go with my chicken Caesar one.
I'm gonna go with "fuck you."
I
That one time that they said it, not that other time, the other one.
Did you guys
got
catch
it.
any other Goodfellas references? Because I did.
Well, I remember you mentioning the helicopter.
Yep, that's one of them.
There's
So yeah, you got two helicopters that are going on. You got the how's it funny? He's in the back seat. Tommy's doing the how am I funny? What's funny? What amuses you? That whole thing.
yeah. How
But if it's not Goodfellas, and that's just how mobs talk.
No.
does it count? Because I guess sorry, I'm going with because in the beginning,
The
Gotti
dance.
the what?
The dance.
You mean the wedding?
Yes.
Okay.
The dance.
I mean, a wedding in a mafia movie doesn't really feel like a direct reference.
No, that's true. I'll give you that. Because even The Godfather opens up with a wedding.
See, I think you're
I don't
just protective over the Goodfellas, and you need to take it down a notch.
Well, one is called Goodfellas, not The Goodfellas.
But it was.
Okay, I'm sorry. My point exactly. Take it down.
I was
Go ahead,
actually
Nick.
quoting Jack Black in an interview.
I don't know if this is embarrassing, but how have I been in a movie chat or a movie club called GoodFlickas and I still haven't seen Goodfellas?
Oh,
You missed it.
Ooh, you gotta see it.
we gotta we're recording now. We're live now.
rewatch?
We gotta redo the Goodfellas.
Gonna do a
Do we
rewatch.
want to? Well, like you guys would be watching it again or talking about it again, but it'll be a first time for me.
It's a
That's okay, I'll
it's a
remember.
fresh watch, fresh conversation, man. That's how I look at it. I've
I
seen
mean,
most
I don't
of
think
these
it's
movies a
streaming
million
anymore, though.
times. It might not be.
I'm checking right now.
The
Yeah,
last time
see
I
if,
think it was on Netflix when we were watching it, wasn't it?
Maybe
Anyway.
I'll rate it differently this time.
Like I feel it was
Yeah, it's not streaming.
So just be
Oh,
on the lookout. Be on
Oh, I will be.
That's it. Just be on the lookout.
I think we're down to final thoughts, right?
We absolutely are.
Wow.
Wow. I don't know if we have too many final thoughts or who won the movie, but
I really don't anymore.
I'll go first because it's nice and easy. Final thoughts. I think we've said it all. This movie could be so much better, but it's not horrible. As far as a first attempt of making a Gotti, at least as far as I know, a Gotti biopic, it's not it could definitely be better. That's it. They need to do a better job. A TV show or mini series, whatever, something telling the real John Gotti story and actually getting to know these characters, getting to know these people, even if they have to fictionalize it, I don't care. I want better storytelling. This was not good enough. But overall, could certainly be worse. For who wins the movie, it's a no-brainer for me. John Travolta all the way. He is the strongest part of this movie. And I mean, without him, this movie has damn near nothing. Not to say that the rest of the people couldn't hold their own, but without his performance, I don't see this thing really being any good. So yeah, no brainer. So don't think, guys. Just agree with me.
No,
Um,
I actually do agree with you. Like the storytelling is what kills it for me. That's what takes my score. So, and also John Travolta wins the movie for me. So those are my final thoughts. So yes, Matt, I agree with you.
Nice. It's about damn time.
my final thoughts, nothing more than what I've said. In the 90s, there was a TV show called The Sopranos.
What?
In 2020s, let's get a TV show called John Gotti. It's there. It's all there. Let's just make it happen. That's my final thoughts. Who won the movie is John Travolta. It is undeniable.
I say they take the title back. Do the series, but you keep it Gotti.
Oh yeah, of course.
Gotti.
No.
It overtakes this movie.
Yep.
Gotti.
Keep it Gotti, but like I said, we had The Sopranos.
Gotti.
We're due for another Italian mob crime TV show. Let's make it Gotti. Make it happen, people.
Maybe check out 000.
And if you do it, Netflix, Hulu, that'd be nice.
Yeah. But Jen, final thoughts? Who won the movie?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm so proud of you guys for finally getting on my level of final thoughts. 30-second final thoughts.
I'm trying to do that for
I
intros
agree with
too.
you guys. Like this movie was very fast paced, and they need to slow it down and uncover some more of the life, I think. And who wins it? I gotta go with my compare contrast. I love it. I love the father son bloodline story that's there. That's the best part of this movie for me.
Yeah. And I'm with that. I just again wish they dug deeper into it.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. Jen, thank you for picking this because guarantee would never have watched it on my own and probably would have been fine with that. But honestly, thank you for picking this because I'm glad that I've seen it and I can talk about it. Anybody now if anybody for whatever reason brings this movie up in my life, I can speak with some knowledge and confidence. So,
would anybody watch it again?
No.
I'd
I
probably
watched it.
I'd probably watch it. Yeah. I would probably watch it again, but it's not anything I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would give it another shot just to see like if I can piece it together more, because I think it being so fast paced and jumpy, I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Gotti and for our show for tonight. Nick, I believe it is your pick next week. Do you have a movie ready for us?
I do.
Okay.
Whoa! I thought
Didn't
Jen
drop us
fell. like she just fell out of her chair, but it was her phone.
I was gonna say Jen's cocktail has just hit her.
We are
Holy wow! It just looks like your table just collapsed. Like,
no, but
oh man!
that's we're good.
Jen's like, oh, that's it for the show. I can pass out drunk now.
But yeah, no. Next week's pick. If you didn't think it was going to be another Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, well, you're wrong.
We're on a kick.
Because it is. We're going to be watching Conan the Barbarian on Netflix.
It's okay. Here's why I'm excited. I have not seen this movie yet.
I've never even heard of this movie.
No. Brian, any initial reaction to this?
I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it either.
Yes, this is going to be a fun one. I'm guessing it's brand new to all of us.
Yeah, has anyone? No.
No. This is a movie that I've definitely heard of and seen lots of things and references to, but I've never actually watched it. So
It's kind of like you feel like you've seen it because of references, but then you realize you never sat down to actually watch it.
Yeah. Yes, there's been enough pop culture talking about
Yeah,
it. You,
Like to see
exactly.
all the references live in
Oh, I'm
its
so
true
excited.
glory.
Oh God,
What's
yes.
some of the references?
Just there's I'm sure you've seen like the GIF or the video of Arnold Schwarzenegger in like a fur loincloth wielding a sword around, he's whipping it and doing like
Yes.
at a sunset, and it's all majestic, and his arms are all glowy and
Yes.
oiled up, and he's a sexy beast. Like, yeah, oh, that wraps it up for Gotti this week. Tune in next week to hear us talk about Conan the Barbarian that we are all very excited for. You can see Brian's excitement now as he's bubbling with energy. Check us out on Instagram at good.flickas. You can check us out here on Twitch Mondays at around 5:30, where we will be talking about any movie that we decide that's streaming on Netflix, Hulu, or Disney Plus. We will have past shows showing up on YouTube shortly, so check us out there. Very excited about that. So you guys will be able to watch more of our shows that we've done in the past, and you should be able to watch this show tomorrow as well here on Twitch.
Hell yeah.
Because
We're everywhere.
we're everywhere. We're spreading our wings, and we are covering the world.
Comment down movie recommendations because half the time I haven't the slightest clue.
Yes. Yes. Send us some of your recommendations so Jen doesn't have to think so hard about movie.
That's right.
Yep. And you can send us those suggestions and any other suggestions that regard our show at goodflickas2020@gmail.com. And other than that, we hope to see you next week. Thank you for sticking with us, and hope you enjoyed the show. Brian, why don't you go ahead and close us out, sir?
Yeah, guys. Thanks for sticking around and listening to us. I think the only thing left to say is no matter what you do, you're always innocent until proven Gotti.